A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. For the past 6 years, a forger has been working in your city. The victims describe the suspect as a woman. Her M.O. is simple, but it continues to work. Your job, stop her. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. No wonder. More and more smokers are learning this fact for themselves. Chesterfield. Low in nicotine, highest in quality. A published fact, proved by chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Regular or king size, Chesterfield is best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Friday, September 18th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Welch. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 10:42 a.m. when we got to the 9th floor of the Beckworth department store, the credit manager's office.
Yes?
We'd like to see Mr. Donaldson, please.
May I say who's calling?
Sergeant Friday, Los Angeles Police Department.
Oh, yes, he's expecting you. Just a moment.
Thank you.
Yes?
The gentlemen from the police department are here, Mr. Donaldson.
Send them in, please.
Yes, sir. You want to go right in? That's the door.
Thank you very much.
Come on in, gentlemen.
Thank you. Mr. Donaldson?
Yes?
I'm Sergeant Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do?
How you do, sir?
Sit down.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, do you want to tell us what this is all about?
Well, it's the little mother again. I've got the receipts here on the desk. Is Sergeant Ferguson still working on this case?
Yes, sir.
I talked to him the last time we were stuck.
Usual type of things charged?
Yes, children's shoes, dresses, sweaters, same as always.
I see. Now, I wonder if I could have those slips, Mr. Donaldson.
Sure. Here you are.
Thank you.
All made out the same day.
Mm-hmm. August 22nd.
Yes. Our experience is that she usually comes in on a Saturday. Seems that the store is more crowded then, and the girls don't take any more time to verify the accounts than they have to.
Can I see those, Joe?
Yeah, here you are.
Thanks.
Wonder if we could talk to the sales girl who waited on her.
Sure. I'll have her sent up.
Fine.
Yes, sir.
Miss Firestone, would you please have Mrs. Allen sent up?
Yes, sir.
I notice here the only items charged not for children is a woman's slip.
Yes, we've had a couple of them in the past, pieces of women's clothing. I talked to Sergeant Ferguson about it when he was here.
Mm-hmm. Did you get the bulletin we sent out this month?
Beg pardon?
The bulletin, giving the woman's description, samples of her handwriting. Did you get it?
Yes, sir, we did. You've got to understand, Sergeant. This is one of the biggest stores in the city. We do a lot of business. It'll be almost impossible to alert all of the sales girls to watch for the woman.
Yes, sir, we understand that, but was the description sent to the children's department?
It was. It didn't do any good, though. If the woman charged large amounts, it might be easier. But look at the sales slips yourself.
Mm-hmm.
$4 shoes, $3 dresses. Nothing to make a charge like that stand out. We make sure that there's an account in the name and then let it go.
Don't you use the charge and plate system?
Yes, we do. But if a customer wants to charge an item and hasn't got the plate, we usually just verify the account and let them sign the sales slip.
Well, how about identification?
Well, normally we do ask for it. But as I said, these sales are such small amounts, and the woman comes in when the store is crowded. The girls just call the credit department and let us sign the receipt.
I see.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Mrs. Allen's here.
Oh, all right. Just a moment.
Yes, sir.
The woman who waited on her is out in the office. Do you want to talk to her in here?
Well, we don't want to take up any more of your time, sir. We can see her out there.
All right. If there's anything else you need, I'll be here.
Yes, sir.
Oh, officer.
Yes, sir.
You know, I feel a little funny about this thing.
Why is that, sir?
Well, the things she's charged.
What's that?
Things she's taken, they're almost all kids' clothes. Doesn't seem to be interested in anything else. Total amounts of the articles she's taken don't add up to much. It's the principle of the thing more than the value. It just seems that the only thing she's interested in is the children. It feels a little funny to call the police about a person like that.
Yes, sir, we understand.
We've got a lot of this going on, but the others, they take things for themselves, luxuries, expensive items. But she doesn't, just for the kids. She doesn't seem to be at all interested in herself.
Well, we are.
Yes, well, I suppose so. Well, I'll be here if you need anything more.
Thank you, Mr. Donaldson. Thanks very much. We'll be in touch with you.
You'll bring the sales slips back, won't you?
Yes, sir, as soon as we've had the chance to photograph them.
Well, I hope you can do something about it.
Yes, sir, so do we. Thank you very much.
Anything you need, you let me know.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Just a moment. Mrs. Allen?
Yes?
These are the police officers.
How you doing, ma'am? I'm Sergeant Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Hello.
How do you do, Miss Allen? You want to sit down over here, please?
Yes, all right. I feel just terrible about this.
Ma'am?
All this forgery thing.
Now, you waited on the woman, did you?
Yes, at least in the little girl's department.
Uh-huh. What if you could describe her for us?
Well, she was a little woman. I'd say a 10.
How's that again, ma'am?
A size 10.
Oh.
5'1", about 105 pounds. Cute as a button.
Mm-hmm. Did she have the children with her?
No, she didn't. I thought it was a little funny at the time, but as I say, we were so busy with the school rush that afternoon that none of us girls had a chance to really think about anything.
Yes, ma'am. What color hair did she have?
Kind of sandy color. Guess you'd call it a blonde. Wore it up in a bun. Back here,
Yes, ma'am.
The other girls noticed it. Long. Looked nice. Different than all the other short haircuts. Kind of old-fashioned and homey.
Yes, ma'am. How was she dressed?
Not very well. A little blue hat, dark coat, cloth coat. Collar came up like this, Slash pockets. Nice, but not expensive.
I say, ma'am, now would you know her if you saw her again?
Oh, my, yes, sure would.
Well, we'd like you to come over to our office and look at some pictures, if you would.
All right. I'll have to talk to the floor manager.
We'll take care of that, Miss Allen.
All right. You think that you might have a picture of her?
We don't know.
I kind of hope not.
Ma'am?
I hope you don't have a picture. I guess it's a little sinful to even think of it, but she had a reason for what she did. I'm sure of it.
Why do you say that, Mrs. Allen?
Officer, I've been selling for a long time. I met a lot of people in that time. Nice ones and nasty ones. And believe me, this is one of the sweetest people I've ever served.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that you call her the little mother. Is that right?
Well, we don't, ma'am. That's what the newspapers call her.
Well, it fits her to a T. Right to a T. Where she bustled around those dresses, looking, testing. She was just like a mother hen trying to find something for her brood. Little doll, cute as a button. She just got to have a reason for what she's doing.
Sergeant Friday?
Yes, Mr. Donaldson?
I'm glad I caught you. I think we've got it.
Sir?
The little mother is downstairs now.
For the last 6 years, the same woman had been operating in the downtown department stores. During that period, she'd forged a total of $1,300 worth of merchandise that we knew of. Because of her M.O., there was no way of telling how much more had gone undetected. The operation was a simple one. She'd enter a store, go to one of the departments. There she'd pick up articles of apparel, mostly for children, and then ask to charge them. She'd explain that she'd forgotten her charger plate, and after the account had been verified, she'd sign the charge slip. These slips would be put in the mail to the people who maintained the account, and it wouldn't be until they noticed a discrepancy that we'd be notified. Usually a month would pass between the time the clothing was taken and we were told of it. In the 6 years that the little mother, as the newspapers had dubbed her, had been operating, almost every team of detectives in the forgery detail had worked on the case. Statements from sales girls who'd waited on her were taken. Photostats of the sales slips were made. Witnesses were interrogated. And then when the sum total of actual physical evidence was weighed and sifted, There was no lead to the identity of the forger. The police department had gotten out printed bulletins and copies of composite drawings of the suspect, and these had been distributed to all department stores in the area. But because of the suspect's appearance and the way she operated, none of the victims became suspicious in time to notify us. The Department Stores Protective League was working with us, but they met with the same dead ends that we'd found. Meanwhile, the evidence continued to pile up. The operation continued to work. When the manager of Beckworth's department store told us that the suspect was in the store, Frank and I were able to come up with the first concrete lead we'd had since we'd been working on the case. In the company of the manager and the saleswoman, Mrs. Myra Allen, Frank and I went down to the boys' department where the suspect was reported to be.
Down this way.
Yes, sir.
The girl said she was over by boys' suits. I hope they were able to hold her.
Mm-hmm.
Just a minute.
Yes, sir.
I know I don't have to tell you, gentlemen, about the store's liability in a situation like this.
No, sir.
Now, I'm sure it's her, but it could be very embarrassing and expensive to the store if we made a mistake.
All right, sir, we understand.
Good. Over here.
All right.
Mr. Donaldson? Mr. Donaldson?
Yes, Miss Franklin. Where is she?
It's not my fault. You've got to believe that.
What's the matter, miss?
Don't tell me you stopped the wrong person. You caused trouble with an innocent party and she could sue the store.
I'm sorry, Mr. Donaldson.
Where's the woman, miss?
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, ma'am?
She wouldn't wait.
A quick search of the immediate vicinity in the store failed to turn up the suspect. The department store security staff was notified, and a watch was put on all of the doors. The credit department was notified, and they took action. We checked with the elevator operators. We found one that told us she'd seen a woman who answered the description get in her car. She explained that the woman seemed to be in a hurry and had left the elevator as soon as it had reached the main floor. A further check of the store netted us nothing. The suspect had escaped. In the downtown crowds, it would have been almost impossible to try to find her on the streets. However, an additional broadcast carrying a complete description of the clothing she was wearing was gotten out to all cars in the area. The first good chance we'd had for apprehending her was gone. We had to go back to the legwork and the waiting. 3 months passed. During that time, Frank and I cleaned up a series of counterfeit payroll check cashings. Another 30 days went by without activity for the little mother. There were 4 new sales slips added to the file, but when the leads resulting from these were checked out, we were no closer to her than we'd been 6 years before. Thursday, December 17th, 12:55 p.m. I checked into the office.
Joe, that you?
Yeah. What do you got?
Oh, just talked to Skipper.
Yeah.
Got a couple of more beefs about the little mother.
When did they come in?
This morning.
Where are they?
Don Myers got him. He's checking the handwriting.
Well, how about the names she used?
Wait a minute. I got them here in my book. There they are. Mrs. Norris Farrow, Mrs. James Slagle, I guess it is, and Mrs. Ross Neiman. I called the stores and got the information on these people.
Did you talk to them?
Yeah. Asked all the routine stuff. None of them can think of any friends who matched the description.
How about the things she charged? Anything there?
No. Usual items. Let's see. A pair of Levi's for kids. One child's cotton dress. There is one thing different.
What's that?
Well, I checked the sizes of the clothes. The last bunch of sales slips we had, the dresses were for a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
This time she bought them for a 12-year-old. Kids are getting bigger, Joe.
You know, that's a big help. All we got to do is look for a couple of kids that are growing.
Well, I was just trying to help, Joe.
No, I mean, it just doesn't seem to be anywhere to go. All the time we've put in, all the people we've talked to, all we got for it is a file drawer all to ourselves on the thing. I get it. Forgery Friday. Who? Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. I remember. Where is she now? I see. Yeah, we can be right over. Yes, ma'am. Bye. Bye. Oh, we got it.
What do you mean?
That was Mrs. Allen. Remember the sales lady over at Beckworth's?
Oh, yeah, I think I do. What'd she have to say?
Told me she's having lunch in the restaurant at the corner of Jackson on Hill.
Yeah.
Our suspect's sitting next to her. 1:02 p.m. We checked out of the office and drove over to the restaurant. It was located at the rear of a large drugstore. When we came into the place, Mrs. Allen met us at the entrance. She took us back down the counter and pointed out a small woman sitting on the last stool.
That's her.
You sure, ma'am?
I'm positive. That's her.
All right, let's go.
Yes.
You want to wait here, Miss Allen?
Certainly.
Something you gentlemen want?
We're police officers, ma'am. We'd like to talk to you.
Police?
Yes, ma'am. You want to step over there to talk? Might be better.
Well, if you want to say anything to me, you can say it right here. I haven't done anything wrong.
What if we could see your identification?
Why?
Your identification, ma'am. Could we see it?
All right, just a minute. I've got my purse. Getting terrible. I don't know what you officers are trying to find out, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you can't prove you've got a reason for making me do this, you're in trouble.
We're not making you do anything, ma'am. We don't want to cause you any embarrassment.
A funny way of showing it. I want to tell you that my husband knows people in this town. When he hears about this... Oh, here you are. Here's my driver's license.
Would you take it out of your wallet, please?
Here.
Mrs. Evelyn Nelson?
That's who I am.
Is this your present address?
No, it isn't. We moved a few months ago, but I haven't had a chance to have it changed. Is that all you want?
No, Ms. Nelson, it isn't. I wonder if we could talk to you in our office.
Why? I always thought you had to arrest people before you could order them around.
We're asking you to come over to the City Hall with us, if you will, ma'am. There are a few things we'd like to check out.
What things?
Wonder if I could see what you've got in the bags here.
What are you looking for?
Do you mind if we took a look?
Well, there's just some clothes for my children. Nothing in there to interest you.
Well, then it wouldn't hurt if we looked, would it?
Go ahead. You won't find anything.
You want to take a couple of these, Frank?
Yeah, I got it.
Well, what about it? Did you find anything wrong? Maybe a gun?
No, ma'am, but I wonder if you could explain this.
What's that?
This charge slip here, signed by Mrs. Ross Neiman.
Well, certainly that was probably in the bag when I bought the things. I don't know anything about it.
All right, Ms. Nelson. Afraid we're going to have to ask you to come with us.
On what charge?
Suspicion of forgery.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. At cigarette dealers, in vending machines, at supermarkets and stores coast to coast.
Chesterfield, please.
Smokers by the thousands. Yes, smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you
One, proof of low nicotine, highest quality. Chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading brands confirm that.
2, the only cigarette ever to give you this proven record with smokers. Again and again, over a full year and one half, a group of Chesterfield smokers have been given thorough medical examinations. The doctor's reports are a matter of record.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
A responsible independent research laboratory supervises this continuing program. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Chesterfield, best for you.
We returned the suspect to the City Hall for questioning. While Frank checked her name through the files, I tried to get her to talk. For 20 minutes, her attitude was one of surprise, and she answered the questions I put to her with indignance. Finally, she lapsed into silence and wouldn't reply at all to further interrogation. Frank came back from R&I with the information that there was no arrest record for Mrs. Nelson. We put out calls to the sales girls who had waited on the little mother in the past and asked them to come down to the office to see if they could identify the suspect.
Yes, ma'am. Room 29. Yeah, come right in the First Street entrance, turn left into the police department. That's right, ma'am. There's an arch there. Go right through it. Straight down the hall and to the right. Well, it's the only way you can go. It's on the left as you go down the hall. That's right, 29. If you'll ask for Sergeant Friday or Officer Smith. No, ma'am, Smith. That's all right, ma'am. We'll expect you. Goodbye. I'll call the next one.
Yeah. You know, you'd save yourself and us a lot of trouble if you'd tell us the truth, Mrs. Nelson. Mrs. Nelson?
Hello, may I speak with Miss Brundage, please? In children's wear? Yes, ma'am, I will.
Hang up the phone.
Beg your pardon?
You don't have to go through this anymore.
All right, ma'am.
You want to tell us about it?
Mrs. Nelson?
I only did it for them, the kids. I didn't want to. How do you think I felt when I knew I was stealing? How do you think I felt?
You want to go ahead?
My husband, Paul's a good man. What he's done, he thinks is right. I can't quarrel with him. But he doesn't know. He doesn't understand. It isn't that he doesn't love the kids. He does. He really does. It's just that he doesn't understand. You can see that, can't you? He doesn't understand about them. Do either of you have a handkerchief? I came away this morning without one.
Yes, ma'am. Here you are.
Thanks.
You want to go ahead, please?
All his life he's worked. Put in long hours without a thought of what he was doing to himself, every nickel. Every nickel he made was put away so he'd be able to feel secure, so he wouldn't have to worry about anything. It was all right when we first got married. I could understand it then. I went along with what he thought. But the last few years, it's gotten to be an obsession with him. The almighty dollar, that's all that seems important to him.
Now, what kind of work does your husband do, Mrs. Nelson?
He owns a grocery store. Mm-hmm. Small place, but it does good, makes a good living. Only we aren't living, we're existing.
Mm-hmm.
He gives me $10 a week to run the house and buy clothes for the kids. I've tried, Lord knows I've tried, budget meals, cheap cuts of meat, day-old bread. Any way you spend it, no matter how you figure, $10 just doesn't go very far.
Now, Mrs. Nelson, didn't you talk to your husband about it? Didn't you ask him for additional money for the expenses?
Yes, I'd ask him, and he'd tell me that I had to make do all the time, make do just a little longer until he had the money in the bank. Then we'd be all right. Only the more it went on, the worse it got. It didn't seem to make any difference how much money we had. How the total in the passbook went up, he wasn't satisfied. Had to be a little more, a little more. I guess I'm feeling sorry for myself, but you see, he could afford to buy the kids decent clothes. At least that. You agree with me, don't you?
Well, that's hard to say, ma'am.
Not for me. I'll never forget the day when my boy came home crying. He'd been fighting. One of the other boys at school had said something about the patches on his clothes. Just a little kid, that's all he was, ridiculed by his friends. That's when I made up my mind to do something about it.
Does your husband know anything about your activities?
No, nothing.
How'd you explain the new clothes for the youngster to him?
I didn't have to. Last year he's been working so hard at the store I hardly ever see him. The kids don't hardly know him. He even spends Sunday at the store dressing the windows.
You mean he spends all his time there?
Every minute he's not asleep. He let one clerk he had go so he could save the money. Always save the money. It doesn't make any difference who gets hurt. Get that dollar and put it away. That's what counts. Put the dollar away. You know something, officer?
What's that, Miss Nelson?
I haven't been able to sit down and talk to my husband for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. He gets home at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. He's up and gone at 6:30. Kids are always asking when Daddy's coming home. How do you answer him? How do you make him understand? I can't. I've tried the only way I know how. And I did it so wrong.
All right, Miss Nelson. We'll try to work it out.
Can I use your phone? I've got to tell the children what to do about dinner.
I'll call for you if you like, ma'am. What's the number?
Hollywood 98844.
Where's your husband now, Miss Nelson?
At the store, I guess. You're going to call him?
I think we should, ma'am. Let him know what's happened.
I guess so. Somebody's got to take care
Hello,
of
I'm
the kids.
calling for Mrs. Nelson. I wonder if I could speak to her son. This is Sergeant Friday, Los Angeles Police Department. Who? Yes, no, she's down here now. Room 29. All right, fine.
Was that my boy? I wanted to talk to him.
No, ma'am, that was your husband. He's on his way down here. 2:14 p.m. Paul Nelson walked into the office. Frank and I took him and his wife to the interrogation room. She'd asked us while we waited for him if we'd let her talk to him for a few minutes alone. We stayed out in the hall, and after a brief wait, Paul Nelson opened the door and asked us to come into the room. His wife had evidently told him the full story because he was visibly shaken. He walked over to his wife and sat down beside her.
Well, I guess I've really done it, haven't I?
What do you mean, sir?
I've really ruined everything. My home, my kids, everything. All the time it was happening, I never knew it, never had an idea.
Don't blame yourself too much, Paul.
But I should have known. I should have seen it myself. Even when you tried to tell me, I was too busy to see it, too wrapped up with the business.
It wasn't for me, Paul. It was for the children.
It doesn't make any difference who it was for. I'm the one who caused it. I'm the one. It's my fault. I'm sorry, Evelyn. How can I ever make it up to you?
Don't think about that now, Paul. It won't do any good. What's been done can't be changed.
How about it, officer?
Sir?
What happens now?
Well, your wife is going to be given a preliminary hearing. She'll have the chance to plead guilty. If she does, the court will decide what to do.
What's the punishment for what she's done?
Well, according to Section 473 of the Penal Code, it's imprisonment in the state penitentiary for 1 to 14 years or for not more than a year in the county jail.
Is there any way out of it?
What do you mean?
Any way of getting Evelyn out of it? If I went to the judge and told him why she did it, if I told him it was my fault, would that make a difference?
I don't know. That'd be up to the court.
But I could try.
Yes, sir.
If I paid the money back for all the things she's taken, I can afford it. I could go to the stores and pay him. Maybe they'd feel different then, huh? I could make it up to him. Everything would be all right.
Well, it's been going on for 6 years, you know.
But if I did pay the stores back, it'd make it up to him, wouldn't it?
Maybe, but how about your wife?
What?
How are you going to make it up to her? 4:30 p.m. The suspect was released on a writ. The next afternoon, Frank and I met with Mr. and Mrs. Nelson and their attorney. We talked over the case. It seemed that the husband's change of heart was permanent. He swore that he'd never give his wife cause for unhappiness again. 2 weeks later, in Department 89 of the Superior Court, Mrs. Nelson entered a plea of guilty to 14 counts of forgery. When the court reviewed the circumstances and was informed that Mr. Nelson intended to make full restitution, the probation board recommended that Mrs. Nelson be placed on probation for 3 years. After the hearing, Frank and I had a brief talk with the couple. They thanked us for our consideration and understanding. Apparently, the cause of trouble between the Nelsons had been erased. Another 2 weeks went by. January 22nd, Frank and I got back from lunch and we checked into the office.
Here they are, dear.
Mr. Friday, Mr. Smith?
Ms. Nelson, Mr. Nelson, how are you?
Just fine, Sergeant. How are you two?
Fine, thank you very much, ma'am. What can we do for you?
That's what we want to do for you.
Sir?
You got the boxes, honey?
Yeah, here they are.
It's not much, but we thought that you'd like them. Made them ourselves. To say thanks.
Look at that, Joe. Mm-hmm. That's not necessary, ma'am. You didn't have to do that.
No, we wanted to. Toll House cookies. Eve made a box for each of you. Real good. Lots of chocolate.
Well, that's very nice of you.
We just hope you'll enjoy them.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sure we will.
Yes, ma'am.
How are things going with you?
Oh, just fine. Paul and I have gotten everything straightened out. I help him out at the store now. That way he's got more time to spend with the kids. Things just couldn't be much better.
Well, we're glad to hear that.
It's a funny thing to say, Mr. Friday, but it's true. The best thing that ever happened to us.
What's that, Ms. Nelson?
My getting arrested.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 8th, a meeting was held in the county probationer's office in and for the county of Los Angeles, state of California. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we've been getting letters from people all over the country telling us that they've switched to Chesterfield. And just as I've been telling you, thousands of smokers are changing to Chesterfield because only Chesterfield gives proof of low nicotine, highest quality. That's why I recommend you try them today. Regular or king size, you'll find Chesterfield best for you.
At the end of 3 years, Mrs. Evelyn Margaret Nelson had fulfilled the requirements of her probation, and the case was officially marked closed. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Rodman, Joyce McCluskey. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspaper for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
This is the NBC Radio Network.
My name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon, Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Sunday at 8:30, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan, with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery, suspense, and adventure in tonight's transcribed story, Gentlemen Prefer Horses.
Like they say in the racing form, it was a clear day, track fast, and a field of 7. Any way you looked at it, the smart money was on the Stevens entry. Except for me. I had a hot tip from a guy named Crenshaw, a jockey who finished in a dead heat with a bullet. I walked into the Lion's office that Tuesday afternoon. His hands were folded across 200 pounds of chest, and he wasn't being too particular about the cigar ashes on his vest. It was an expensive cigar. Kind he lit up on his birthday, New Year's, and at funerals.
Well, come in, Jeffrey, my boy. This is a fine day, a very fine day.
Yeah, I can tell by the smell. Dollar cigar?
50 cents. They were out of my usual brand.
Ah, price of rope's gone up.
Who cares? Today we're living off the fat of the land. Today we're having champagne and caviar. Figuratively, of course.
Yeah, sounds like fancy figures. Who furnished them?
Who but our new client, Jeffrey? Today you and I have the pleasure of serving a young man named Boots Crenshaw.
How's that again?
Boots Crenshaw.
I just wanted to be sure.
Oh, the name. It is a little odd. You see, Boots was quite a noted jockey several years ago. Retired, moved to Los Angeles. Now he needs our help.
How much?
$100 worth, coin of the realm. Oh, what a day.
$100 will buy a lot of help.
That's the beauty of it. He doesn't need a lot. It's so simple. We do practically nothing.
Yeah, I'll bet.
All you do is run down to his hotel and talk to him. The Francesca on East 8th Street. What he wants is so childishly simple, I won't even bore you with the details.
Look, General, if it's that simple, maybe you better hire somebody on day rates to handle it. I don't know a thing about horses.
Exactly. That's why you're ideal for the job.
Because I don't know anything about horses?
That's right. You see, Jeffrey, my boy, although Boots Crenshaw is an ex-jockey, he says there's only one thing in life he can't stand.
Don't tell me.
You guessed it, Jeffrey. Horses.
I should have seen it for an outside bet right there, but I played it for a sure thing. I drove down Main to 8th and east until I spotted the Francesca Hotel. 3 floors of cracked plaster and a fire escape. It was old when Santa Anita was an onion patch. I parked around the corner and went in. A desk clerk with empty eyes and no teeth gave me 307. I went up, tripped on a hole in the carpet, and knocked. 3 minutes later, the door opened wide enough for one eye to look out.
Yeah?
You Crenshaw?
Long shot.
Where's Crenshaw?
Want a tip?
I already lost. I'm looking for Boots Crenshaw.
Who?
I told you.
No, I mean, if Boots was in, who would I say wanted him?
Look, he sent for me.
Sure. Who?
Okay, I'm Regan.
Did he say Regan?
Yeah, Regan.
Oh, let him in. Come on in, Regan. I've been expecting you.
He wasn't.
Oh, Longshot? He's the cautious type. Ain't that right, Longshot?
Yeah, cautious.
Regan, Longshot, Regan.
Fine.
He's the guy they call the Lion's Eye. Have a chair, Regan, have a chair.
Chair.
Thanks. Well, the Lion tells me you got a problem.
Maybe yes, maybe no. That's what I hired you to find out.
Ah, you're the curious type, huh?
Well, it's maybe not that simple. How do you want me to give it to you?
You're calling it. Just line him up at the barrier.
Oh, you already know I'm an ex-jockey.
Yeah, Lion said.
Well, then I'll start there. Up to 5 years ago, I was doing all right. I could boot 'em home with the best of 'em. Then one day at the fairgrounds, I took a spill. Bad. The doc salted it away for 6 months in the hospital, and then ended up by telling me I don't ride no more. Well, that's tough on a guy who's been a jock all his life. Longshot will tell you, huh, Longshot?
Yeah, tough.
Anyhow, after I get out, I bum around the oil for a while, but my dough runs out. So, me and Longshot gets an idea.
Yeah, idea.
Know what the idea was, Regan?
No. What was the idea?
Simple. All me and Longshot knows is horses. Horses. So we decide to sell tips.
Great idea.
Oh, but that's not all there is to it. We sell special tips.
Yeah, special.
Yeah, $100 a throw. But get this. You get your money back if our pick don't come in.
You don't need any private eye.
No, it really works. The big spenders go for it. Oh, sure, we have to pay back a lot of times, but we got enough winners to keep going pretty well. Up to a couple of weeks ago.
When your horses stop coming in.
Oh, no, the horses do fine, but there's one spender, my number one customer. We depend on him. And poof, all of a sudden he disappears.
Yeah, poof.
Now you're beginning to talk my language.
Yeah.
I don't mean you, Longshot.
Oh, sorry.
So I look for the missing customers. Is that it, Boots?
Yeah, sure, that's it.
Mm-hmm. What do I do when I find them?
Just find out about him, who he is.
Who he is?
Yeah.
You don't know who he is?
Well, that's just it. He always sends a chauffeur in with it, though. A guy named Mike. Mike says the spender's name is McMillan.
Yeah, McMillan.
Yeah, but you don't believe it.
Oh, sure. Only he's a good customer, Regan. I don't want to lose him.
Maybe what you really want is the connection between this McMillan and the spill you took back at the fairgrounds.
Oh, there ain't no connection. I didn't say that. You get me all confused.
Me too.
You spent a half an hour giving me background that led to nothing. Now, there was a reason.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the whole thing hangs together like a string of Chinese firecrackers.
Oh, I'm giving it to you straight. You gotta believe me, Regan. You gotta.
Boots. My fee says I gotta find your man. But believe him? Nope. Nothing says I gotta do that. I got up and walked out, leaving Boots Crenshaw and his friend Longshot looking at each other like bewildered kids after an unloaded gun went off. Well, I had two things, a chauffeur named Mike and a spender who probably wasn't named McMillan. I headed down the stairs toward the postage stamp lobby. That's when something caught my eye. She was tall, slim, and blonde, but didn't come out of a bottle. She was looking at me, and for some reason, what she saw made her cry. Wait a minute. Wait.
What do you want?
Well, you were looking at me, remember?
Well, that's not true.
Well, then you need bifocals.
I thought you were someone else.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, your mistake. See you around.
Oh, Mr. Regan.
Wow. Now we're getting acquainted.
I was outside the door. I heard your name. I'm his wife.
Crenshaw's?
Yes. What does Boots want with you, Mr. Regan? What did he tell you?
Nothing.
But he must have told you something.
Well, only about McMillan.
McMillan?
You don't know McMillan?
No. Oh, Mr. Regan, Boots is in some kind of trouble. I've been scared stiff. If you know what it is.
I don't. But maybe you can help. Look, there's a bar across the street. I got a clean handkerchief. Let's talk. She didn't say anything, but I got the answer from her eyes. I held the door open for her, and we walked out onto the sidewalk. It was a cinch. Boots Crenshaw wasn't worth all those tears, but his wife kept on shedding him anyhow. At least until we got to the crosswalk at the corner. That's when something else happened. A baby blue convertible came cruising by, looking for a place to park. Chauffeur driven. It paused, then disappeared around the corner. The girl flinched. I had to choose between Mrs. Crenshaw or the convertible. The way she stared told me to choose the car. It took me 5 minutes and a walk around the block to locate it. The uniform and puttees were gone, so I slipped into the driver's seat. Blue and gold everywhere. Blue paint, blue upholstery. Gold steering wheel and knobs. I reached down for the registration. I didn't expect it to say McMillan. I didn't expect what I got either.
Save you the trouble, Peeper. It says Mike Johnson, 15 Windmill Road, Pacific Palisades.
I should have looked in the rear vision mirror. He was in the back.
So you like the car, huh?
It's nice.
Maybe you'd like to have one like it someday, huh?
I'll wait for the 51.
Oh, this one's nice. Notice the seats. Foam rubber, real leather.
I don't like the color.
Do 110 with no strain.
Yeah, well, I'll get out and you show me.
No. You better try driving it.
Too late. Some other day.
You ain't heard my sales pitch yet. Look in that rear vision mirror again.
That heater didn't come with it.
No. A gun is my sales persuader. Now, I think you do want to drive it after all, don't you, Peeper?
He moved up front beside me. I drove. He headed me out Lakewood Boulevard. It was dark before we passed the airplane plans. And then just when I decided I was going to end up off the end of some pier, he had me turn into the oil fields. He picked a side road that was just 2 tracks in the goo. Then the ride was over, and we pulled up in front of a backdrop of pumping oil wells.
Okay, Peeper, stop here and shut it off. Like I said, drive's nice, huh?
Doesn't use this much oil.
No, none at all between changes. I made you come here just so we can talk.
Sure. Story of your life, maybe.
Story? No, I'm just going to tell you one little thing, that's all. You want to guess?
Sure. You're going to tell me who pays you and what for.
You talk awful tough, awful long.
What's McMillan got on Boots Crenshaw?
Get out.
Why the build-up of the $100 tip?
I said get out.
Okay. Okay.
Now walk a little ways. That's far enough. Wait a minute. Okay, Peeper.
How do I get it? In the back?
Told you I wanted to tell you just one thing, and here it is. Boots Crenshaw doesn't want your help. Lay off.
I waited for the shots. They didn't come. But by the time I turned around, the baby blue convertible had disappeared behind some pretty black oil wells. It took me an hour and a half to walk back to the boulevard and hitch a ride to my car. And it took another hour to buck the evening traffic out to Pacific Palisades. 15 Windmill Road was Spanish and set way back behind a mailbox with no name. But it could support a lot of $100 tips. I pushed the bell and tried to figure out what I'd say when someone answered. That turned out to be no problem.
Yes. Well, hello, stranger. Come in. Come in out of the fog.
She was small and compact and brunette. She wore black horn-rimmed glasses, but they didn't get in the way. You could say the same for the sweater she was wearing.
Well, I said come in.
Yeah, you did. Thanks.
Damp tonight. I don't like to keep people standing on the doorstep.
You're real thoughtful.
There's a warm fireplace in here. You'd like the fireplace.
Sure.
We can talk better in there. You do want to talk about something, I suppose.
Lead the way.
There. That's better, isn't it? My name's Gloria.
Mine's Regan.
What are you selling, Mr. Regan?
Cadillacs.
We already have 2.
This one's baby blue.
Oh, you've met Mike.
I sure have.
Is he in trouble again?
I'll talk to his boss about that.
Mr. Stevens?
I was told it was McMillan.
No. There's nobody named McMillan here. This is the Stevens place.
Oh, who are you?
I told you.
No, I mean to the boss.
I'm his secretary. I take dictation.
Yeah.
What do you want, Mr. Regan?
I'll tell the boss.
You couldn't wait for him.
Oh? When's he due back?
What did you say?
That's no answer.
Okay. So he won't be back for several weeks. I thought...
You thought wrong, lady. This is business.
About that fireplace.
So long, lady.
Yeah. I'll tell Stevens you called.
By the time I got back out to my car, the fog was really thick. I drove and thought about that name, Stevens. I wasted some time finding a real estate office that was open late. The secretary was right. Stevens did own the house. I spent the drive downtown thinking the whole thing over. It was past 11 when I got back to the Francesca Hotel for another go at Boots Crenshaw. He was in bed, but he didn't get up to answer the door. He wouldn't be answering any more doors. He was sprawled across the covers, face up. In one hand, he had his riding silks I'd seen tacked up on the wall. But this time I really noticed them, the color. They were baby blue and gold.
This This is CBS, and you are listening to Gentlemen Prefer Horses. Tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator.
It began when an ex-jockey who sold tips hired me to find out what happened to one of his best customers. He said the customer's name was McMillan, but a brunette secretary said it was Stevens. Wouldn't matter to the ex-jockey anymore. When I went back to his hotel to tell him, he was in bed. Not asleep. Dead. He was holding on to baby blue and gold shirt, the silks he'd worn in his last race. I called the police, and a tall, nervous lieutenant showed up.
Your name?
Regan.
His name?
Boots Crenshaw.
What's he to you?
A corpse.
Tell me.
Okay, he was a client. I'm with the Lion Agency. Here.
Jeff Regan. License. Uh-huh. Okay. He, didn't pay his fee?
Oh, you don't think I killed him?
Just thought I'd ask.
You got your answer.
You carry a gun?
Sometimes.
Uh-huh. I'll keep it for you.
I got a license for that.
Sure. Tell me more.
All right, he was an ex-jockey. He sold tips, hired me to find out why his best customer quit buying.
Customer's name?
McMillan, he said.
Find him?
No.
You're doing good.
The jockey had a partner. His name was Longshot Coy.
This even gets better, Regan. What else?
I met a fat guy in a blue and gold Cadillac. I met Crenshaw's wife. They didn't give me anything.
You travel fast.
I get paid for it.
Your story's lousy, Regan.
It's my story.
Okay, Ed, run him in.
Wait a minute.
Oh. Now there's more, huh?
No, look, I phoned you. Call Anthony J. Lyon, my boss. He'll check the story.
Okay, Gumshoe. We'll try that for a while. Stay close.
My gun.
Later. Maybe. Okay, Ed, let him go.
I headed outside for fresh air. But I didn't get far. A little guy buried in a big overcoat sidled up next to me.
Hey, Regan, I gotta talk to you. Surgeon.
It was Longshot Coy, somewhere underneath that upturned collar. He stuck with me. We turned down the block, away from the streetlights. Then he grabbed my arm.
Listen, Regan, I didn't kill Boots. I came in and found him that way, so help me. It was just a couple of minutes ago, maybe 15 or 20. The cops are going to make me the favorite, Regan. I'm not even an entrant.
I'm listening.
I heard the shot. I was coming up the stairs. I heard it. One shot, then I found him dead.
Mm-hmm. See anything?
Whoever did it got away.
Well, why didn't you call the cops?
Me there practically when the shot was fired. The room clerk would tell him I'd gone up. I'd be a cinch to take the rap.
Well, the room clerk's going to tell him anyway.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
You didn't just stop me to feel sorry for yourself.
Oh, no, I guess not. Regan, listen, there's something screwy. Something that don't add up right.
The wife?
Yeah. How'd you know?
What about her?
She and Boots, they fought.
When?
Back in Chicago yesterday, all the time.
Why?
The usual reason. Other day.
Boots like to play the field, huh?
He used to, but not lately. He loves Susan, his wife. He really loved her, Regan.
Mm-hmm. You think she's in it?
I don't know.
What about the fall?
Huh?
The fall. Fall Boots took back at the fairgrounds.
Oh, that.
Finish it.
Oh, we all make mistakes, Regan.
Mm-hmm. Boots threw that race, didn't he?
Oh, I didn't say that.
For the dough, he and his wife left town, took a tour, finally wound up in L.A.
Boots was hurt bad, Regan.
Yeah, but that wasn't part of the fix.
I don't know.
You're leaving something out, Longshot.
I didn't kill him, honest, I didn't. What do I do, Regan?
Go back there and turn yourself in.
I take the rap if you cinch to photo finish with a gas chamber. I can't do that, Regan. I can't.
Your choice.
Yeah, I guess it's my choice. I'll see you later, Regan. I gotta think.
Longshot Coy wandered off in a daze, and I headed back to the bar across from the Francesca Hotel. The phone booth was empty. I called my boss, Anthony J. Lyon, asked him to phone Chicago and dig up everything he could on Boots Crenshaw and Longshot Coy. And while he was at it, I told him to check on a man named... Well, the Lion was going to be busy for a while, so I pulled up a bar stool. Then it hit me. I'd counted in everybody but the fat guy in the blue and gold convertible. I headed for my car in a hurry. Only I was too late.
Get in, Regan. I've been waiting for you.
He was sitting hunched behind the wheel, watching the fog. The gun in his hand was big and steady.
You had to show up sooner or later.
Just like Crenshaw.
Get in.
Regan, I warned you to keep out of this. I told you it was nothing but trouble. You see, I was right. Trouble for you. This time I brought my knuckles, Regan. No answer? Oh, ain't that a shame?
When I came out of it, there was me and more fog, and the guy with the brass knuckles was gone. I tried to shake out the fog and get up. On the third try, I made it. The street was empty, and when I got out, even the damp air smelled good. I made my way back into the bar and found the phone booth and a nickel. The Lion answered.
Regan, where have you been? It's been over an hour since you called.
What'd you find out, Lion?
What did I find out, Jeffrey, my boy? I found out everything, but everything.
Okay, out with it.
Oh, you'll be proud of me for this. Proud indeed.
If we ever get to it.
Very well, Jeffrey. I found out Boots Crenshaw was injured on July 13th, 1946. Fairgrounds track, 7th race, 100,000 added. He was riding for...
The Stevens Stables.
Jeffrey, that's true. How did you know?
Go on.
The name of the horse was Jade Lady, the favorite, post position 2. Boots Crenshaw was...
wearing blue and gold, Stables colors.
Jeffrey, you're absolutely psychic. Yeah, let me see, where was I? Oh, yes, the horse fell while pulling away as he came into the home stretch. He was racing on the rail. There were those who said Boots deliberately threw the race. However, the racing steward said it was an accident.
Don't stop.
Well, Boots was laid up in the Chicago hospital for some time. Eventually, he recovered, left the city with his wife. They traveled extensively and then came to Los Angeles. That's all, Jeffrey.
What did you get on Longshot Coy?
No, very little. He was picked up a couple of times for bookmaking, otherwise a clean record.
That finish it?
Oh, wait, I almost forgot. There's one thing more. The police have located Susan Crenshaw, Boots' wife. They've arrested her on suspicion of the murder of her husband.
That really finishes it.
Jeffrey, what do you mean?
I mean, the guy we need is Stevens, the owner of Jade Lady. The horse Boots was riding when he took the fall.
You think he's behind this, Jeffrey?
Well, it makes sense that way. Boots louses up a $100,000 purse. The horse has to be destroyed. Stevens not only loses the race, but some people say Boots framed him.
Yes, I see what you mean.
So Stevens follows Boots to Los Angeles, sets up the contact, then settles the score.
Jeffrey?
Yeah?
I've got news for you, Jeffrey.
Okay, what news?
You're sure about Mr. Stevens?
Okay, so we're supposed to have left town. You know something different?
No, Mr. Stevens did leave town, Jeffrey, quite some time ago.
What are you getting at?
In fact, it's safe to say he is not coming back. You see, my boy, your number one suspect, Mr. Stevens, is dead. Good night, Jeffrey.
It had to be Stevens. It made sense with Stevens. The time, place, motive, everything. Even the blue and gold car fit with Boots Crenshaw's riding, only Stevens was dead. That fixed it. Somebody was running the Stevens stables, and that somebody was my answer. I headed the car out Sunset and didn't spare the horsepower. 25 minutes later, I pulled up in front of the place. The fog was thicker than the hair on a Russian wolfhound. I headed around toward the back of the house. I was almost on top of it when I saw it. The big baby blue convertible, white sidewalls and all, sitting in the driveway. From somewhere behind the car, somebody was coming to meet me. It didn't figure to be a welcoming committee, and the police still had my gun. Suddenly, that somebody was named Mike, and he was diving at me, only this time overhead, and I stayed that way. There was a gun in his hand. It was pointing in my direction. Only I caught the barrel and bent it back, brought it down in his ear. He lay there, peaceful, a halo of fog in his head. I didn't wait, because a light flicked on back of the house, and I headed for it in a hurry. I stood looking inside. The room was big and rich-looking. And inside it, there were people. 2 of them. Through the window, I could see a small guy in an overcoat and a girl with a gun. I didn't wait for an invitation. Drop the gun, lady.
Not a chance, Regan.
Shot went high. I dove across the room toward her. Long shot was right behind me. On the next one, here's where he shouldn't have been. The bullet grazed his head, and he went down unconscious. By the time she could turn the gun on me, I was there first.
Regan, let go.
Like you said, lady, not a chance.
Regan, my wrist.
Ah. Now it's the other way, Gloria.
You haven't got anything on me.
A book full.
You can't prove...
Did you kill Boots? Easy. Everything fits you that fits Stevens.
What do you mean?
My answer came out Mr. Stevens. I was looking for a man. Now, that was my mistake. Change it around, call the man Mrs. Stevens, and you come up with the same total.
Stevens is dead.
Sure, but you're the wife. You've been running the stables. You're Mrs. H.V. Stevens.
Okay. So what if I am?
The blue and gold convertible told me you were mixed up in this. Crenshaw's shirt was blue and gold. It spelled Fairgrounds, 7th race, a horse named Jade Lady.
He threw the race.
Yeah, sure. But that wasn't why you tailed him.
Yeah?
Yeah, he ran out on you, lady. If you wanted to sew him up, you could have done it after the race. But you weren't interested in a dead horse. You were interested in a live jockey.
His wife. She took him away.
She had a lot of nerve.
He left Chicago with her. He left me with a hospital bill.
Like a woman scorned. So you caught up with him, tried to force him back. But when he stuck with a wife, you killed him. Longshot Coy was going to be next. You brought him out here to the house.
Yeah. Boots and I are two of a kind, Regan. Dirty little rat could get me off. Never mind. Go on. Phone the police.
You know what? I will. You know, it looks like you're entered in a race for the gas chamber, sweetheart. And the way I figure it, you'll finish 5 lengths ahead. Well, the cops took it from there. Mike and his boss, Gloria Stevens, joined the paddy wagon set. And a young medic slapped some bandages on Longshot Coy's head. He was like new. Me? I watched the fog settle over the blue and gold convertible and drove home. The next afternoon, I dropped in on the Lion. He didn't look so chipper. The cigar he was smoking was strictly 3 for a dime.
Oh, hello, Jeffrey.
Why the long face, General?
Hey, Jeffrey, I'm not going to hide it from you. When the truth is hidden, only the liar must suffer.
Are you okay?
Hey, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, my boy, I lied to you. I did not receive a $100 retainer from Boots Crenshaw.
What?
You see, Jeffrey, he had such an honest face, such an innocent look. Dirty crook.
You didn't.
Yes, Jeffrey, I did. Instead of taking the money, I let him talk me into taking a tip. Extra special tips, I believe he called it.
So you didn't collect a note?
No, I took the tip. After all, he guaranteed to pay me if I lost. How was I to know he was a cheat, a cad, a blackguard? Besides, it was sort of a hunch.
A hunch?
The horse, Autumn Frolic, reminded me of my youth.
How much did you bet?
$10 on the nose. Oh, why
David
did I...
Lyon, did you see the afternoon paper?
No, why?
First race, Del Mar, winner, Autumn Frolic. Paid $21 for a $2 ticket.
What did you say, Jeffrey?
You won.
Jeffrey, we're rich. We're millionaires. We're in paradise.
Thanks to Boots Crenshaw.
Yes, of course. Oh, dear Boots, a fine young man, a good soul. Jeffrey, remind me to write a note of condolence to his mother.
Jeff Regan, Investigator, was written tonight by William Frug, directed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant. Jeff Regan, Investigator, is heard transcribed each week at the same time over CBS. Joe Walter speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett and Myers, first major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. 2 hold-up men have been operating in your city. You've got descriptions of the men and of the car they're driving. Your job, get them. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. No wonder. More and more smokers are learning this fact for themselves. Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality. A published fact, proved by chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Regular or king size, Chesterfield is best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, April 14th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 10:46 a.m. when we got to the corner of Calhoun Street and Van Nuys Boulevard. The Universal Hobby Shop.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
We'd like to see Stanley McGowan, please.
Oh, Stan's not in right now. Anything I can do for you?
When do you expect him?
It shouldn't be long. He just went out for some coffee. Hey, sure there's nothing I can do?
No, sir. You know where he went?
No, I don't. Probably up the street. He'll be right back, though, if you want to wait.
All right, fine.
Pull up a couple of those stools. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
You mind if I go ahead with this? I'd like to get it finished this afternoon.
No, sir. You go right ahead.
Pretty jazzy deals. You seen them?
What's that?
Hey, these boat models. Put them in a bottle.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is a new one. Just came in. Take a look. Jean Lafitte's boat. Pretty, isn't it?
How's that?
Lafitte, the pirate, you know.
Oh, yeah. How do you get it inside the bottle?
Well, the bottle comes in 2 halves. It's cut apart lengthwise. You put the boat in and glue the halves together. There are a couple all finished over there. Look pretty good.
Mm-hmm. How long has McGowan been working here?
Oh, I guess it's been about 6 months around in there. You guys friends of his?
We want to talk to him.
Oh. That's funny about him.
What's that?
Well, he doesn't seem to have any close friends. Hey, you know, like you could call up and ask a favor from. Never hear him talk about anybody like that.
You ever seen any of his associates?
Oh, a couple of times when we get ready to close up, there might be a guy waiting for Stan. Most of the time he plays a single, though. I've tried a couple of times to get him out, you know, stop at the bar on the way home, have a couple of drinks. Stan won't have any part of it, plays it single.
Do you have a car, would you know?
Not that I've ever seen. Hey, say, will you hand me that gold paint over there?
Yeah, sure. This one?
No, the small one there. Yeah, that's right.
Here you are.
Ah, thanks. A little bit of this goes a long way. Touch up the tops of the mast here and she'll be ready to rig.
And these friends of his that pick him up, what kind of car do they drive?
What are all these questions for? Who are you guys?
Police officers. This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Cops. Well, what do you want with Stan? He done something?
We just want to talk to him.
I sure hope it isn't anything serious. I'd sure hate to lose Stan.
Is that so?
He's one of the best riggers we've ever had. There's a couple of his models over there. Take a look. That one in the case. $150. Old Ironsides. One of the best boats we've turned out. Stan did that. Sure got a steady hand. And that's what it takes when it comes to rigging. Steady hand.
Want to go out now, Rudy?
Yeah, in a minute. A couple of fellas here want to talk to you.
You want to see me?
Your name's Stanley McGowan?
Yeah, that's right. What's this about?
They're cops, Stan.
Yeah?
This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
I'd like to talk to you, McGowan. You sure? What about?
Might be better if we went out to the car, huh?
Make no difference to me.
You fellas stay here. I'll go out for some coffee.
All right, thank you.
Bring you back some?
No.
No, thanks.
I won't be long.
Okay. What you got to talk to me about?
You seen Jim Boland lately?
No, I haven't. When did you see him last? A couple months ago. Why?
Where'd you see him?
He come in here, wanted to know if I could help him out, give him a job, place to sleep.
Did you?
No, I told him he could bunk at my place for a couple of days till he got squared away. Nothing I could do about a job.
Why'd he come to you?
I don't know. I met him at Q. Didn't have much to do with him. Hey, why'd you guys come to me? What makes you think I might be running with him?
We didn't say you were.
Same thing. You figure I know where he is?
Well, the record says you knew him. We're just checking it out.
I got nothing to do with him. I'm reporting every month. You check with my parole officer. He'll tell you. I've been carrying a bucket since the day I got out of the joint. I'm going to keep on carrying it.
We got no beef with you, McGowan. We just want to get in touch with Boland.
I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do to help you out. Anything comes up, I'll give you a call.
You mention any of his friends in town when you saw him?
Some guy named Phil, that's all.
You know who he is?
No, I never met him. Jim said they were cooking up some kind of deal.
You know what it was?
No. Look, I'd like to feed you guys, but there's nothing I can tell you. As far as I'm concerned, I want to stay away from Jim and the crowd he runs with. I want no part of him. I did my time. A couple more months, I'll finish up with the parole. I don't want to fall again.
Nothing you can tell us about this guy, Phil, huh?
Not a thing.
You know where he met Boland?
Seems like Jim mentioned that. I think it was some bar down on West 7th. Just a guess, though. I couldn't back it.
You know if Phil drove a car?
Yeah.
You know what kind?
It seems like it was a Lincoln, a late model sedan.
How about the color?
It was dark. I saw it once when he came by to pick up Jim. It was nighttime. I couldn't tell too good. It was just a dark color.
Where was this?
My place? I told you Jim bunked with me a couple of days right after he got in town.
You just said you offered to let him stay with you, is that right?
Well, same thing. Anyway, he was only there a couple of days.
Say where he was going?
No, I didn't see him. Him and me had a beef about how he wasn't looking for a job. He used to sit around all day reading magazines. We finally had a fight about it. I told him to get out. Wanted no part of him. I came home that night. He was gone. I haven't seen him since. I don't much want to either.
Mm-hmm.
Look, what are you after him for? What's he done?
Just want to talk to him.
He got a piece of these market jobs around town?
Why do you ask that?
Sounds like Jim, the way he works. I just figured maybe it was him. He checked the board. He violating parole?
They tell us he hasn't shown up for 3 weeks.
That's too bad. Kind of figured maybe he'd swing it this time.
How do you mean?
A couple of times up in the joint, we'd get to talking. He said he finally learned it. Figured out there was no way to beat it. Said if he got his parole, he's going to stick by it. Get a job, carry a bucket. Too bad.
Mm-hmm.
All that talk, I really believed he meant it.
So did the parole board. 6 weeks before, on March 3rd, the manager of a large supermarket had arrived at work. When he opened the front door, he found that a customer had followed him into the building. When the manager told the person that the store wasn't open for business yet, the man had drawn a gun and demanded that the safe be opened. The manager complied, and after taking $1,400 from the safe, the thief had fled. The manager was able to give us a good description of the hold-up man and an accurate description of his car. He was unable to give us the license number, and he could tell us little about the man who remained in the car. Immediate broadcasts were gotten out on the thieves, but they'd apparently made good their escape. On March 12th, the procedure was repeated. Again, we were able to get good descriptions, but we were unable to come up with the suspects. In the following 4 weeks, the thieves hit 5 more times. Each time, the M.O. employed was the same. The descriptions from each of the victims tallied with those that we'd already gotten. The description of the car was the same. This information was turned over to the staff's office for compilation. Their findings listed 14 possible suspects. The packages of these men were pulled from R&I, and the mugshots were shown to the victims. In each instance, one picture was picked as bearing a close resemblance to the hold-up man. The prime suspect was identified as James Boland, WMA, 32 years old. He'd been arrested twice for violation of Section 211 of the Penal Code. He'd been convicted once and had been sentenced to San Quentin for a period of from 5 years to life. However, at the prison, his behavior and attitude had been good, and he'd been paroled on February 19th, 10 days before the first holdup. We found that Boland had violated his parole and was wanted by the state adult authority. A check of his friends netted us no new information. His relatives could tell us nothing about his whereabouts. The legwork continued. Informants were questioned, but were of no material aid. Saturday, April 18th, 8:46 p.m. I'd just gotten home from work, and I was unlocking my front door. Hello? Oh, yeah, Dave. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I just got it. When was that? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I'll have to call my partner. Right. Yeah, where? Yeah, I know where that is. Well, let's see. It's 8:47 now. It'll take us about 15, 20 minutes. Right. Okay, we'll see you there. Yeah, sure. Bye. Hello, Faye? Yeah. Frank there yet? What if I could talk to him? Yeah. Oh, Frank? I just got a call from Dave Hyde. Yeah. Says he wants to see us right away. Bar down on 6th Street. Yeah. No, all the way downstairs. Okay. What? Yeah. No, he says he knows where we can find Jim Boland. 10 minutes later, Frank picked me up and we drove down to the cocktail lounge that our informant, David Hyde, had picked as a meeting place. When we walked in, we couldn't see Hyde, but the bartender told us that he was in one of the rear booths. We walked back.
Hi, fellas. Come on.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
What do you got for us?
Lousy bum. All the things I did for him. All the things, and now he's got a chance to settle up, and he says he's having no part of me.
You talking about Boland?
Boland. What a bum. All I've done for him, this is the way he pays me back.
Boy, you just wait till I spread the word around. There won't be anybody in town who'll have anything to do with him. He's through in this town. T-H-R-E-W.
All right, Dave. Settle down. Give us the word. Where'd you see him?
Bar over on 7th. Big man now. Got a roll. Looks like a branch of Fort Knox. A lot of money. But he's too good for his old friends. Too good. Say, how about you fellas popping for a drink for a pal? Huh? How about it?
You've had enough. Come on. When'd you see Bolin?
Just this morning. Big man. Got good clothes. Driving a big car. Asked him for a loan. Just to get squared away. Pick up a couple of tabs I got around town. Just see me over the hump.
You know what kind of car he's driving?
Yeah, big Lincoln. Brand new. Got red leather trim on the seats. Even got one of those seats that goes up and down, but he can't give a pal a helping hand. I spread this word around town. He's really finished. Ain't a guy in town to touch him with a 12-foot pole. A real darb.
You know where he's living?
Nah, I don't know. Probably got a house out in Bel Air. Looks like he can afford it.
Who's he running with, you know?
Yeah, some guy who's lights cigarettes.
What's that?
Some guy who's lights the cigarettes all the time. Supposed to be some gun from the East. Thinks he's such a big shot. The cheap kind, you know. Kind of guy who has his suits cut so as you can see they're carrying a gun. You know, cheap.
You know this fellow's name?
A couple of times I heard old Jim call him Phil. Phil something, I don't know. A real darb. Hey, fellas, how about a drink? I'm feeling real bad.
You still on H?
Oh, no, I swear to you. I haven't had a pop in a long time. I'm trying to get off this stuff. Figured if I could get drunk enough, it wouldn't be so bad. Rough go. Come on, how about a drink?
You've had enough, Dave. You know if Boland's carrying a gun?
I don't know for sure. I didn't see one. This darb Phil's got one. Got his coat cut so as you can see it. Real cheap, small time.
You want to show us where you saw Boland?
I'll take you there if I have to carry you on my back. What a way to treat a friend. All the times I've helped him when he's had a bad yen, and now he treats me this way. Real dog in a manger. I got a lot of friends in this town, a lot of buddies. Word gets out about Jim, he's finished. Miserable bum. I think about the rough times him and me had together. I get ill. I-L.
All right, let's go.
If you nail him, you going back to the joint?
Suppose so.
How long are they going to give him?
It's up to the court.
Ain't a court in the world that'll give that bum what he's got coming. All I want to see is that he gets it good. I want to see him turn the key and lose it after what he did to me. I'll tell you something else, too.
Yeah, what's that?
He's building a big habit.
Is he hooked?
He ain't chipping with it. I bet money he's shooting 4 or 5 caps a day. That much easy.
You sure about that?
Well, why'd I lie to you? What reason I got to lie?
All right, Hyde, let's go.
Hey, how about a quick belt before we go, huh? I'm feeling rocky. Just a quick one.
Let's pick up Boland first, then we'll see what we can do for you.
Yeah, and then you'll take care of it, huh?
We'll see.
Yeah, just so he gets his every pound. Can't wait to see the look on his face when he finds out the whistle's been blown. Oh, I can't wait.
Neither can we. Let's go. 9:13 p.m. Hyde, Frank, and I drove over to West 7th Street. Our informant pointed out the bar where he'd seen the suspect, Boland. He told us that when he'd seen him last, Boland said that he'd be in the bar that night. We called the office and told them where we were, and then we went into the place. Boland wasn't there, but the bartender said that he was expected. The three of us sat down in a booth at the rear of the place, and we ordered black coffee for our informant. We waited. 9:30 p.m. 10:30.
There he is, coming in now.
When you saw him this morning, did he say this guy Phil was going to be here?
No, not to me.
How about it, Joe?
You better get out of here, Dave. Use the side door, will you?
Yeah.
We'll check with you later. All right, let's go. Boland?
What?
You Jim Boland?
What do you want?
Police officers, you're under arrest. All right, Boland, come on, get up.
Come on your feet. Stand still. He's clean, Joe.
What's going on? What are you pulling a deal like this for? I didn't cause any trouble.
All right, come on, let's go.
Somebody blew the whistle on me. Somebody did. I'm going to find out, and I'm going to get to him. I swear I'll get to him.
Where's Phil?
Huh?
Phil, where is he?
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, Boland, let's go.
Listen, you tell whoever it was blew the whistle, they better start looking for a place to hide, because I'm going to get to him if it's the last thing I do.
You called it.
What?
It might be. 10:14 p.m. We returned the suspect to the city hall and questioned him. He refused to admit any complicity in the holdups. He refused to tell us who Phil was. We talked to him for 5.5 hours, and we got nothing. At 3:30 a.m., he was taken over to the main jail and booked in on suspicion of robbery. We checked out the room that he told us he was living in, but we were unable to come up with anything that would tie him in with the holdups. 3 days passed. On Tuesday, April 21st at 8:30 p.m., a special show-up was arranged. Out of the 7 victims who were present, 5 said that the suspect looked very much like the man who had held them up, but none of them would give us a positive identification. Jim Boland was returned to the felony cell block, and we talked to the victims. All of them commented on the fact the suspect we had in custody was the same height, the same weight, and had the same general coloring and appearance as the person who'd robbed them. However, none of them would swear positively that he was the person. At 10:15 p.m., Frank and I went up to the felony section and had Boland brought from his cell to the interview room. His previous sullen attitude had changed considerably.
How'd I make out? You get any identification?
5 of them say you look like the man.
Well, they're wrong. They gotta be. I didn't have nothing to do with those holdups. If they say I'm the guy, then they're making a bad mistake.
They seem pretty sure about what they say.
They can't be. Look, they saw me behind the screen. You bring them up here. Let me talk to them face to face. I'll talk to them. I got nothing to hide. Just let me talk to them.
You know we can't do that.
I always thought it was up to you to prove a guy was innocent as well as trying to make him for a job.
That's right, it is.
Then why don't you give me a break? I got no part in these heists.
You look good for him.
Probably a lot of other guys who do, too, but that don't mean they are. Come on, what do I have to do to make you believe?
Why don't you come off of this, Boland? We got you going in. Why not play it smart and cop out?
How can I cop out when I got no part in it?
I'll lay it out for you. The M.O. used in the jobs matches yours.
Big deal. A lot of guys work the way I used to.
Physical description we got matches you.
So I haven't got 2 heads. A lot of guys look like me.
The beef in the bar. If you didn't have anything to worry about, why'd you start the fight?
How'd I know who you guys were? Maybe you was out to pull a heist.
Oh, that's a nice try, Boland, but it won't work. You knew we were officers. Now, why don't you save us a lot of time and tell us the truth here?
You guys wouldn't know it if it'll bit you.
There's one way to find out.
Yeah?
Try it.
You got a cigarette?
Here.
You want one?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll level with you. I figured you was after me for PV. I didn't have any idea about the 211 rack.
That why you started the fight?
I swear it is.
How about the money you got? Where'd it come from?
I got real lucky with a pair of dice.
You expect us to believe that?
That's the way things are.
Where'd you hit the luck?
I can't tell you that. It wouldn't help any.
Give you an alibi.
Either you believe it or you don't. That's the way it was. I'm trying to level with you.
We got a rumble that you're back on H. Now, how about that?
Where'd you hear that?
We heard it.
Yeah. Well, you tell them I haven't had a pop in over 4 years. Not since I went up the joint.
How about this Lincoln you're driving?
Don't belong to me.
Who owns it?
Phil.
Now we're back to that. You going to tell us who Phil is?
Listen, the guy's a friend of mine. I don't want to bring nothing down on him.
He's leaving you way out in the cold.
I suppose so. Well, if I tell you, you won't know, will he?
Not from us.
Okay. Name's Phil Spence.
How well do you know him?
Say hello to, buy him a drink, that's all.
That's not the way we get it.
I don't care how you get it. That's the way it is.
This Spence, you ever fallen?
I hear yes.
What for?
211, ADW.
Where?
Here, California.
You on parole?
No, he got out clean. At least that's the way I hear it.
You know where we can pick him up?
I told you I buy him a beer once in a while. I don't pay his rent.
You're the one who said you wanted to go down the middle.
All right, but I'm giving it to you that way. I don't know where his pad is.
Does he work for a living?
I don't know. I never heard him talk about a job.
You know who he runs with?
Some guy named Ed.
You ever see him?
No.
Know where he can be reached?
Sometimes I hang around the bar where you picked me up. How about it, fellas? You gonna buy the story?
Yeah, we'll check it out.
I swear it. I got no part in it. Sure, you got me cold for PV. I know I got to go back for that, but I want nothing to do with the rest.
We'll check it out.
You do that. You'll find out what I said's the truth.
You willing to identify these 2 other guys for us?
How do you mean?
Check over some mugs?
Sure. Just as long as you believe me.
We'll see.
You won't regret it. A lot of things I can tell you if you get me out of this. A lot of information I can give you.
Let's go.
You're going to give me a break, huh?
We'll check it.
Say, either one of you guys got some extra butts? I'm out.
Yeah. Here, take these.
Thanks.
Anything else you need?
Not unless you can fix it for me to shave.
We'll talk to the jailer about it.
Beard's starting to itch. I'd like to get it off.
We'll see what we can do.
You going to start checking my story now?
That's right.
You go to work on it. You'll find out.
Yeah, sure.
I'll pay you back. Just believe me, I'll pay you back.
Figure he's telling the truth?
It's hard to say.
The identifications weren't too sure.
Everything else is. There's only one way.
Yeah.
Check him out.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. At cigarette dealers, in vending machines, at supermarkets and stores coast to coast.
Chesterfield, please.
Smokers by the thousands. Yes, smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. The only cigarette ever to give you
1, proof of low nicotine, highest quality. Chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading brands confirm that.
2, the only cigarette ever to give you this proven record with smokers. Again and again, over a full year and 1/2, a group of Chesterfield smokers have been given thorough medical examinations. The doctor's reports are a matter of record.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
A responsible independent research laboratory supervises this continuing program. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Chesterfield, best for you.
Tuesday, April 21st. After we left the suspect, Jim Boland, at the main jail, Frank and I went back to the city hall and checked the name Phil Spence through R&I. There were 9 packages carrying records for men with that name. 2 of them had served terms for robbery in the state penitentiary at Folsom, California. We got off communications to George Brereton up at Sacramento and to Washington, requesting information on known criminals having that name. 12:30 a.m. We went back to the jail and had Boland brought from his cell. We showed him the mug shots from the packages we had, but he failed to give us an identification. We talked to him about Phil Spence. He gave us all of the information he could about the missing suspect's habits. At this point, we were still not sure that Boland wasn't implicated in the holdups, but we had to check out what facts we had. The one point which seemed to verify Boland's story was that the victims were unable to give a positive identification of him. 1:30 a.m., we went back to the office and checked out for the night. The following morning, Wednesday, April 22nd, we started to recheck Boland's story of his movements during the times of the holdups. Upon re-questioning some of the witnesses, we found that they weren't as sure as they had been of the facts. That afternoon, we got a kickback from Sacramento. It contained 3 more possibles. CII said that they were sending us mugshots of the men by airmail special delivery. Boland gave us a list of places Spence was known to frequent. We came up with the name of a girl that the suspect was known to see from time to time. We got the address and we went out to talk to her.
Doesn't look like she's home.
We better check with the manager, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You Jane Schofield?
Why?
We'd like to see her.
Who are you?
Police officers.
Come in. I'm her. What do you want?
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
No, I figured that. Move some of those clothes and sit down. Can I get you anything? Drink, maybe?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. What do you want to talk about?
How long has it been since you've seen Phil Spence?
Who says I know him?
We understand you know him pretty well.
I've gone out with him a couple of times. That's the end of it.
When did you see him last?
A couple of days ago. Monday night, I think.
You know where he is now?
No.
You know where he lives?
Some hotel over on Flower.
You know the name of the place?
No.
You ever been there?
No.
You know what Spence does for a living?
I don't know. Got some kind of a job, I guess.
He ever talk to you about what he does?
I told you I just been out with him a couple of times. I didn't ask for his birth certificate. I just said I'd go out with him. What are all these questions about anyway? What do you want to talk to Phil about?
Personal matter.
What kind of trouble is he in now?
You been in trouble before?
I don't know. Just with you cops around, must be something he's done.
Spence got any close friends that you know of?
Couple.
You know who they are?
One of them is a guy named Jim something.
How about the rest?
Fellow he calls Ed.
What do you know about Ed?
Not much. Is he in it too?
Ma'am?
He mixed up in this personal thing you want to talk to Phil about?
Maybe.
Never did like him. I always figured he'd end up getting Phil in trouble.
Phil see quite a bit of him?
Yeah. I think he's maybe in some kind of business deal with Ed.
Did he ever say what the deal was?
Not to me. One night a couple of weeks ago, he got real looped, and him and Phil were talking about it.
What'd they say?
I don't know. Phil told me to go powder my nose. I don't know what they said.
And how do you know what they talked about?
Because when I came back, I heard Phil say something about how the deal was going to work out all right. Then he saw me and they shut up.
Phil owns a car, doesn't he?
Yeah, a new Lincoln.
You ever let anybody else drive it?
Ooh, once in a while, he lets Jim take it. Not often. Phil's kind of touchy about the car. Say, how'd you fellas know about me?
Routine. Checking Phil out. Your name came up.
Oh. That's all, huh?
Ma'am?
I'm not mixed up in it.
You can answer that better than we can.
Yeah. Well, I want you to know that I'm not. I got nothing to do with Phil.
Mm-hmm.
I mean it. I just met the guy. I had a couple of dates with him. He's hung up in something. I got nothing to do with it. You got to believe that.
When are you going to see Spence again?
You believe what I tell you, don't you? If he's in trouble, I got no part of it.
When are you going to see him again, lady?
You mean whenever I got a date?
Yes, ma'am.
Tomorrow night. He's going to pick me up when I get through work.
Where's that?
Bar down in Olympic. I'm a hostess there.
Is that where you met him?
Yeah, he came in one night. We got to talk. He asked me for a date. I don't want you to get the wrong idea about it, though.
Ma'am?
Well, about how I met him. I don't usually go out with the customers. Boss doesn't like it. It's just that Phil seemed kind of different. That's the reason I went out with him. I want you to get that straight.
Mm-hmm.
Just a minute.
Expecting anybody?
No, I don't know who it is. Want me to open it?
Yeah, go ahead.
What took you so long, honey?
I got company, Phil.
I know.
I don't think so.
Hi.
You Phil Spence?
Yeah, who are you?
Police officers would like to talk to you.
What about?
Might be better if we went downtown.
Or who?
What?
I don't want to go downtown.
You don't have much to say about it, mister.
It's a pinch.
If it makes you happy, mark it down that way. You want to shake him, Frank?
Yeah. Get away from me, cop.
What are you doing, breaking up my phone? Get out of here! Get out of here and take that cheap phone with you!
All right, come on, get out. Come on, get out.
You get out of here.
Lousy deal.
Get out of here, my deal, coming in and breaking up a girl's apartment. Who's going to pay for all this? Who's going to make it right? Just look at the place.
Oh, shut up. Why don't you tell me they were here? Why didn't you say something?
All right, Spence, let's go.
I'm coming. All I want to know is who told you. Who yapped? That lousy Eddie, I'll bet. He's the one. Never should have picked him up.
He with you on the jobs?
He told you, didn't he?
How about Jim Boland? He in with you, too?
Oh, that guy hasn't got enough sense to come in out of the rain. He's worse than Ed. Should have known not to get mixed up with that dumb Eddie. I should know. Always happens.
Yeah?
You run with a jerk, you're going to get tripped up. Lousy Eddie shooting off his mouth. Hadn't been for him, you'd never got us. I'm going to tell him off.
What's the difference? You told them everything they wanted to know. You're all going to jail.
Why don't you shut up? You're always wrong, sister.
Not this time. Let's go.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 13th, trial was held in Department 92 of Superior Court of the State of California in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Well, this is brief, but I think very much to the point. Chesterfield is the only cigarette that gives you proof of low nicotine, highest quality. That's what I want in my cigarette, and that's what you should look for in yours. Chesterfield, regular or king size, best for you. Try 'em.
Philip Donald Spence and Edwin Floyd Morse were tried and convicted on 4 counts of robbery in the first degree and were sentenced as prescribed by law. Robbery in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 5 years. Jim Nathan Boland was released to the State Adult Authority for action on violation of his parole. He was returned to San Quentin for the balance of his original term. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Herb Bygren, Vic Perrin, Michael Ann Barrett. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Have you tried new cork tip Fatima? It's the smooth smoke with Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Fatima is made and guaranteed by Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company. Try Fatima today.
Hear Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
This one's about Pete Kelly. This one's about him. It's about the world he goes around in. It's about the big music and the big trouble and the big roar of the 20s. So when they ask you, you turn right around and speak up. You tell them this one's about the blues. Pete Kelly's blues.
Kelly's Blues, starring Jack Webb, with story by Jim Moser, music by Dick Cathcart.
Number 417 Cherry Street is a standard speakeasy. The help is paid in cash, and the books are burned at the end of the month. Every week we use 30 cases of booze and a pound of coffee. After salaries, there's gas and lights and a payoff to the Prohibition boys. In Kansas City, the price is good. For $100, they steer in the drunks and make one rate a year. The place is run by George Lupo. He's a quiet little guy who wouldn't give you the sweat off an ice pitcher. The beer's green and the gin's as young as yesterday, and the music's loud. I'm Pete Kelly. I play cornet. We start every night about 10 o'clock, and we play till they sweep out the broken glass. We don't draw any customers. We don't chase any away. The music is straight New Orleans. It started in the front parlors of Storyville and drifted north. Some of it laid over in Chicago. That's where I got on and rode it out here with a piano player named Rosie. He's still with the band, but last night he was barely with it. We took a break about 11. Rosie was late getting back. Might as well have stayed in there because he kept looking around the room, and the way the piano sounded, you'd think he had on a catcher's mitt. All right, let's take 5, huh?
Sorry, Pete, I'm a little behind tonight.
You haven't left the station. What's the matter?
I'm nervous. Take a look around. Near the door. Back this way. Place is full of cops.
Forget it. Have Jake open a couple of windows. And take a walk. Get yourself in shape.
Not till I find out which way to fall. These boys are here for heavy duty. I'll learn that out in the kitchen.
All right, let's duck behind the stand. Come on. All right, what about it?
You know Dutch Courtney?
I drink his beer, that's all.
Somebody shot Courtney up tonight out near Highway 40.
Well, that's too bad. He'd have drawn a good crowd downtown. Who killed him?
I don't know, but whoever he is, he's in for a big night. The police are trying for him, so is his partner.
Well, let him play. How does our place fit into it?
I couldn't guess. We'll soon find out. See the big guy who just walked in the door?
Yeah. Boss cop?
Almost. It's Eddie Newman, Dutch Courtney's partner.
Yeah, come on. We better get back in the stand.
All right, won't be long now. Hot, dry up. How's your old man? All right, hold on now. Here she comes.
All right, Rosie. Yeah. All right, fellas, let's hit it.
Happy New Year. Goodbye, 1921. Hello, 1922.
Yeah.
My name's Newman. Come outside.
We're due to play.
I'll hear you later. Come on. You hear about Dutch Courtney? They picked him out of the mud tonight.
It means nothing to me.
It does to me. Dutch was a friend.
Well, if it'll help, try.
I'm short on time, Kelly. Give me a rundown on Gus Trudeau.
There's nothing to say. He played for a while, and he went to the boneyard.
You know him. You know his sister.
You'll have to ask Courtney about that. I haven't seen her since the old days.
You know Gus well enough to figure he didn't like Dutch Courtney. He didn't like it 1 pound.
Well, you can't blame him. Dutch sidestepped and paid Trudeau's way to jail.
Bookkeeping. I don't know anything about it.
All right, look, Newman, you're on the wrong track. Now, this is a job killing. Your boy got frisky, and somebody sent down a Chicago gun. The price tag shows.
Sorry, Trudeau's my pick.
What did he hit him with, a high-powered rifle? Gus Trudeau's away up in Leavenworth.
He used to be. Gus went over the wall this morning. When he shows up, I want him.
Well, why pick me?
I ask around. He'll head for you. He's broke. He'll need train fare.
No, not if he killed Dutch Courtney. Somebody will give him a railroad. When they dragged the Blues out of the back room and moved them up front, there were 3 of the best leading the parade. They were all blowing cornets. One was Buddy Bolden, one was King Oliver, and the other was Gus Trudeau. There was a lot of music, but not much man. He picked me up on a union date on the south side of Chicago and taught me how to play. He got into me for a Boston 3-star cornet and gin for the rest of his life. When he got down to running errands for Dutch Courtney, I left for Kansas City. A couple of months later, Courtney needed a patsy, and Trudeau was it. He wound up with a 5-year stand at Leavenworth. But Gus never felt right unless he was in trouble. Only this time he cut me in for a piece, too. Well, I picked up a drink at the bar and fought my way back to the stand.
Anything wrong?
No. You finished the set?
One more to go. Sensation.
All right, let's do it.
What's wrong, Pete?
A friend of ours killed Dutch Courtney. All right, sensation. 1, 2. Let's get off for a while, huh?
Who'd you say killed Dutch Courtney?
Gus Trudeau.
And what, prayer? Trudeau's in jail.
No, not since this morning.
Which one of you is Kelly?
I am.
A friend of yours in town wants to see you right away.
Who is it?
He's waiting up at your room.
Did he give a name?
Just Gus.
An hour later, I was still looking for an out. The muscle man on the side door went to the bar a little after 2 a.m. Our base man, Red, loaned me his keys, and I slipped out. I got on to 12th Street, picked up his Erskine coupe, and headed up for my room. All the way out Grand Avenue, the streetlights were spending the rest of New Year's alone. Some guys with wide brooms were pushing at the confetti, and the fog was loafing down in Washington Square. When I got to my place, I parked the car in back and headed up the stairs. The college kids down at the end of the hall had their door open. The party sounded young. I was looking for Gus when I opened the door, but he had a substitute. I knew her way back at 18th and Hall Street. She was pretty and the fastest freight in town. It must have been a long time ago, because somewhere along the line she'd run into a batch of Wednesday weekends and she wasn't pretty anymore.
Hello, Pete.
Where's your brother?
I don't know where Gus is. That's why I'm here. I knew you'd be the first one he'd come to.
Yeah. Now what about the break?
I was up to see him 2 weeks ago. He didn't say anything about it. Pete, we gotta help him.
I've been hearing that since I met him.
You're the only one who remembers, Pete. You're the only one who cares.
No, a lot of people care now. Eddie Newman wants him. The cops are looking hard.
I gotta find him before they do. You gotta help Pete.
He was supposed to meet me. That's all I know. I'll wait for him.
He needs a hand, Pete. He's in deep.
Yeah, well, he's always in deep. Now, you do what you want, Madge. I ran front for Gus too long. I'm out of the habit now.
Please.
If Gus wants cover, he can look for a police station.
Gus can get away. Some money and a car, that's all he needs.
It's going to take more than that to get out. Every cop in town's working tonight.
Give him a chance, Pete. Help him.
No, thanks.
Gus has been good to you, Pete. He taught you music. He's been nothing but good to you.
I'm paid up. I bought his gin for him for 5 years.
Well, then do it for me. For what I used to be worth.
Now, Madge, it's old. That was 80 years ago. I can't help Gus.
Do it for me. I haven't changed that much.
I have.
You're still the same.
You've been working at it.
You remember.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the same, Petey. It's just like the first time.
You never had a first time. How about a drink?
Will you help me, Pete? Find Gus. Get him out of town.
$10. It's as far as I go. $10.25. Now I'm getting off.
Where are you going?
Back to work. Tell Gus to take care of himself.
Hold it right there, Pete.
You stayed too long in Chicago, Madge.
I bought the gun in Kansas City. Don't go for the door.
You better give it to Gus. He may need it.
We're going to find him. You're going to help me.
All right, come on. Give me the gun, Madge.
If I shoot, it'll hurt.
Put it away, Madge. Come on, drop it.
Who is she?
We'll trade. Who are you?
Cage. I work downtown homicide. Who you got on your floor?
Madge Trudeau.
Tell me about her.
I knew her in Chicago. After that, I heard she did favors for Dutch Courtney. After that, I don't know.
She tired? What's she doing there?
Looking for Gus Trudeau.
Oh. Where is Gus?
I don't know. I've been asked that twice tonight. Now, this is the third time around. I don't know.
You probably will.
Why? Why do I have to get into this?
Because you're Gus Trudeau's friend.
Well, then let him get another one. I'm tired of the job.
I don't blame you, fella. You're going to come out of this with a lot of trouble.
For instance?
I'll make it simple. If Gus Trudeau shows and you hide him, we'll book you for aiding and abetting.
Yeah.
If he shows and you turn him over to Newman, we'll send you up as accessory to murder.
Yeah.
If he shows you turn him over to us, Newman will probably kill you.
Well, that's good. In the meantime, what do you guys do for a living?
We're busy. We couldn't prove Newman killed you. It's after 2. Get back to that club.
And leave you here?
I got work to do.
Like what?
This woman. See if I can get anything out of her.
Yeah, it's been done before, but I'll bet 10-1 in your case.
Go on back. I'll tidy up here.
All right, good night, cop. Leave the rugs. I left Cage standing in the middle of the room looking down at Madge Trudeau. He didn't watch me leave, but I figured it wouldn't be too long before he turned that gleam back on me. I went back to 417, and I ran into our piano man, Rosie, outside in the alley, using a smoke for a chaser.
Happy holidays, Petey. How's Gus?
I didn't see him.
An odd hour of the morning, Petey, but I figure the fates are hard at work shaping up a few sordid futures.
Cut the piano, huh?
You've got a very limited selection.
What do you mean?
Before the general citizenry sits down to breakfast, you may get a reward, the eternal kind.
Come on, what is it?
I've got it all figured for the two of us, Petey. Today we'll spend our time dodging destinies. We'll hit for some small back room. I'll bring the bottled goods. We'll live on gin and sauerkraut and make the walls sit up and listen. One horn, one piano. The blues, Petey. We'll ride 'em into the middle of next year.
All right, throw the bottle away, will you? Just set me straight, huh?
Across the river, there's 2 places, the High Life Club or Fat Annie's.
You sure he's there?
That's what the word is. I'll pass the hat down at the Union Hall for both of them.
Is Gus alone over there?
Right now, but there's going to be a crowd.
What do you mean?
I told you.
Yeah.
When Eddie Newman gets back, I got to tell him.
Well, I knew it was a silly move. Newman had 100 guns on tour for Gus. Cage and the boys from headquarters were standing by for seconds. Helping Gus Trudeau was out of order, but I couldn't get one thing out of my mind. If Gus did kill Courtney, why didn't he pick up some travel money before he did it? It was backwards. If you're going to hang up your pants, you take them off first. Well, it was about 3 a.m. when I got down to the river and crossed over to the Kansas side. The High Life Club was smoked up and had a little of everything except Gus Trudeau. I looked in the kitchen and tried a back room, and then I went to the bar to see if I could drum up some talk. I had one taker, a boy with wavy black hair. He got up from a table of 3 others, walked over and sat down next to me.
Well, how are you? Come in here often?
Well, this is the first time.
Welcome. I'll buy you a drink?
Well, I'm all set. You try one yourself.
I think drinking's all right, but I hate people that drink too much. Don't you?
You work here?
Well, not regular. Sometimes I dance when the other act doesn't show up. You here alone or you waiting for something?
I'm waiting. For a guy named Gus Trudeau.
You one of his friends?
I'm it. Where is he?
We left a while ago. I'm not sure where he went.
Well, you get sure. It's important.
You mentioned someone named Bessie.
All right, hold it. What do you hear, Kelly? Get away, Newman. Try another stool. This'll do.
Well, if he asked you to leave, I think you should leave.
Oh, a choir boy, that's nice.
Leave him alone.
Who is he?
I never saw him before.
What does he know about Trudeau?
Nothing.
Now, don't kid me. You're not here to spend the time of day. You're here for Trudeau. You little friend. Where's Gus Trudeau?
I don't have to talk to you. I'm a guest in this place.
You're not anymore. Climb down and head for that door, both of you.
You can't make us do that. We're not going to leave.
It's a split vote, Buster. I don't like the way he pushes.
That's right. Just walk. I'll bet you look good.
I knew right then as we walked across the floor. I knew Eddie Newman wasn't going to leave him alone. He was going to pick at him, whether he knew anything about Gus Trudeau or not. It was going to get messy, and the boy with the nice eyes was going to help. Outside it wasn't snowing anymore, but the ground was covered right down to the river. There was a moon out, and it looked all right if you like nature. We walked over toward a bunch of trees. Newman's car was parked there. It was a black touring sedan with a strong-arm guy in the back seat. There was another one sitting on the running board. He had a machine gun across his lap.
This'll do. All right, now, let's hear about Gus Trudeau.
I don't know anything about him. This man and I were just talking.
Go easy, Newman. I never saw him before.
Did you always talk to strangers or Betty does?
It's none of your business.
Where's Gus Trudeau?
I wouldn't tell you. Suppose I knew, I wouldn't tell you.
Yes, you would.
You keep your hands off of me.
Stop pressing, Newman. You don't care about Trudeau now. You just don't like this guy.
Stay out, Kelly. Come here.
Hey, let go. Let go.
Stop screeching. I'll break your arm.
You keep your hands off of you. You pig, you dirty pig.
You're in trouble, fella. Shut up.
Well, he is a pig. His hands are all dirty and his teeth are dirty. I bet even his clothes are dirty. All of them.
Now lay there. All right, Dave, move in here. Back away, Kelly. You're up, choir boy.
No. Please, mister, do something. Don't let a thing like this happen.
It already has, Buster.
No, you can't.
Tell me, Newman, did you ever find out about Gus Trudeau? Newman didn't answer. He climbed into the car and they drove off. Well, I stayed there for a minute to look at the guy in the snow. His face was unmarked. I did him a favor. I rolled him over so it showed in the moonlight. I knew his mother'd want him to look real good the night Eddie Newman's chopper squad cut him down. Well, it was getting cold out, and the name Bessie had to mean Fat Annie's place up the river on the Kansas side. I made it there and found Bessie. She was back at the piano, wandering around somewhere in the middle of the blues. You couldn't miss that voice if she took up yodeling. Bessie Smith.
I've got those Kansas City blues since my man has gone away. Hi, Pete.
Bessie, what do you know?
Run back, Pete. You go up the stairs, the loft, way up there at the top.
All right, thanks, Bessie.
All right.
I felt my way out and around back and up a couple of flights of stairs that didn't creak in time with the music. There was a door at the top, and I pushed it open. He was hunched back on a pile of hay in the corner. He sat up and blinked a couple of times. There wasn't much left, just the frame. And rattling around inside, a lot of tired echoes that wouldn't lay down and die. There was an empty gin bottle on the floor.
Petey, I knew you'd get here.
Yeah, well, they didn't make it easy.
You're looking good, Petey. Everything's 6-2 and even, huh?
You forget easy, Gus. You're in a jam. You broke jail.
Yeah, I told him all about you up there, Petey. I told him there's another Gus Trudeau blowing down to Kansas City. I'm proud of you, Pete.
Yeah, sure, Gus.
You're just like me, Pete. I told him all about you. You're the only good thing I ever done. I knew you'd come through. A car and some money, Pete, it'll do everything. It'll make it all new. Is it too much to ask? You tell me, Pete.
They want you for Dutch Courtney.
You know better, Pete. I didn't kill Dutch.
You had a reason.
Did I? Forget.
He hung a frame on you, Gus. 5 years worth, remember?
I didn't kill Dutch. Get me a drink, huh, boy?
No, not tonight.
Don't preach at me. Just something to help me over.
Oh, yeah. Now come out of the fog, Gus. You're going to get a drink or a train ticket from me. You take your pick because it's the last time around.
Just listen to that. Bessie's still going strong, ain't she?
Yeah, and so are the cops. I got one idea for you, Gus. Get moving.
You remember Chicago, Petey? You and Madge. Chicago always liked me.
You checked out, Gus. Biderbeck's got your chair.
They'll remember me and you, Petey. I found you when you were nothing.
What are you going to do? Where are you going?
I got it all set up. It's big and brand new. A place in Mexico.
Yeah?
The guy who bunked in my cell with me, his mother runs a place down there. It's just like it used to be.
Yeah, well, you won't get there on a gin bottle.
I got it set up, boy. Car and some money. It's not much to ask. You haven't got a drink, have you?
You can drink in Mexico. Where you dreaming up the car and the dough?
It's fixed, boy. You just see this guy and tell him I'm ready. Abe Gaffney. He's got a place on Pershing Road. You know it?
Yeah, I know it. Abe's doing all this?
Just tell him I'm ready.
All right.
How's Madge, Pete?
She's all right.
Come and see me now, Pete. It's hot in Mexico.
It gets hot here.
What's the matter, Pete? You ain't sore, are you?
No, I ain't sore. I'm just tired. I'll tell Gaffney that I'm checking out. Goodbye, Gus.
You're not getting too big for your old friends, are you, boy?
Friends are like everything else, Gus.
Yeah?
They wear out on you. Well, it wasn't any different than a dozen times before. I knew there wasn't very much left, but I wasn't looking for a second-rate ghost with an empty gin bottle. I crossed the river back to the Missouri side and headed down Main Street and then swung over toward Abe Gaffney's place on Pershing Road. It was pushing close to 5:30 a.m. The sun wasn't up yet, and the night was too tired to care. I pulled up in front of the Murad sign in front of Gaffney's. Inside, a counterman with pimples and coffee was leaning on last night's paper. A beaded curtain shut off the hallway that led back to Gaffney's room.
You want some?
Yeah, Gaffney.
Not here.
Where do I find him?
I don't.
I was supposed to meet him here.
If so?
Look, this is Gaffney's place. Where is he?
I told you.
Now listen, Junior, maybe you think you do a good imitation of Calvin Coolidge, but I want an answer. Where's Gaffney?
What's your name?
Kelly.
You could have saved an argument. This way. Through here.
When do you go to bed, Kelly?
You still looking, Newman?
I'm still asking. Where's Gus?
I don't think you'd give me time to answer.
There's a good reason why I let you walk away tonight. I gave you 2 hours all by yourself on the Kansas side. I don't think you threw him away. You got a line on Gus Trudeau. I want it.
I got nothing for you.
But don't be silly, Pete. The cops get him or I do. It goes either way.
You get no help from me.
I don't want no help. I want Gus. Now, come on! Come on. I'll make you part of the wallpaper.
You better send for Dave.
I don't need him.
I think you do. Now, don't bother to get up. I'm leaving.
I don't believe it. Wasn't your turn, Kelly.
When I got up off the floor, the room was cold and the lights were out. Newman was gone, but I knew he was still in business. I knew if he didn't find Gus Trudeau this trip, he'd come back for me. I got into Red's car and followed the radiator cap back to 417. I found Rosie back at the stand having breakfast.
Did you bring an egg, Petey? I hate to drink on an empty stomach.
Newman been back here?
I haven't noticed. You look abused.
Yeah. Anybody say anything?
You were missed. I heard the news.
What's that?
They found the guy who got Dutch Courtney, a fellow by the name of Doyle, East St. Louis. Cops got the goods on him, gun, fingerprints, the works.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long night. What was his beef with Dutch?
Doyle owned East St. Louis. Dutch wouldn't believe it.
Leave it to Gus. If there's a hole, he'll fall in it.
Makes it easier on him now, doesn't it? Newman will call his boys off now?
Well, somebody better tell him in a hurry.
Did you see Gus?
Yeah, I saw him. He's trying to get out of town.
Pete Kelly?
Yeah, that's right.
Abe Gaffney, Pete.
And you're a hard man to find.
Newman came in the front door. I went out the back. This won't take long. Car keys, money for Gus.
No, you got the wrong guy, Abe. I quit an hour ago.
Fight it out with yourself. The car's out in the alley. It's a great chance to tell Gus it needs gas.
Oh, wait a minute. You can take this stuff to Gus. You know where he is.
No, thanks. You take care of Gus. He's an old friend.
What's the matter with you?
I hardly knew him.
The clock over the bar was leaning on 6:15. We got back on the stand and started the last set. 80 pounds of stale cigarette smoke was holding up the ceiling and waving down on a dirty blue curtain over the dance floor. Behind the bar, one of the guys was wiping up. Two couples picked their way to the dance floor and pushed each other around a while. We finally gave up. Oh, the whole thing. It was all out of step. Wrinkled stockings, brown gardenias, torn paper hats, and Gus Trudeau. He walked in the door and stood off to one side, just back of the stand. All right, it's the last one. Blues in B flat. it. Same call tonight, 10 o'clock. You can pack up.
Hey, Pete. Petey, over here. I heard you. You sound good, Pete. It's just what I told him up there. You're on your way, boy.
All right, now you heard it, Gus. I got the money for you and the car keys. I'll see you, Gus, huh?
You know what I told him? Another Gus Trudeau's blowing down in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I only got one thing to tell you, Pete. Don't forget it. Play like you talk. Don't lie.
Happy New Year, Gus.
Oh, hi, Madge.
Hold it there, Pete. This is a family fight. Stay out.
I thought I took that gun away from you.
What's the matter, Madge? What are you doing?
No, don't tell me that talk, Gus. Dutch can't hear you.
What do you mean, Madge?
You killed him. You blew your top and you killed him, just like you did everything else for me. You and the gin and that cheap brass horn of yours. You spent us all, Pete and me, and you ran through the whole bunch till you got to Dutch.
Pete, I didn't do anything.
You killed Dutch Courtney. I loved him. I loved him enough to square it.
Well, you got it all wrong, Madge.
Goodbye, Gus. I'll tell him to throw your horn in after you.
Want to read the paper, Madge? You killed the wrong brother.
Stay away, Pete.
It's in the paper, Madge. Guy by the name of Doyle. He killed Dutch.
They're not sure, are they?
Yeah, they're sure.
Oh, what'll I do?
I got two things for you, Madge. And the car keys. Now you see what you can do with 10 minutes start.
You didn't have anything more for Gus, did you, Pete?
No, I guess not.
Well, he made it.
Yeah, Gus finally got out of town.
Starring Jack Webb, was story by Jim Mosier, music by Dick Cathcart. Scoring by Matty Matlock. Pete Kelly's Blues is based on characters created by Richard L. Breen.
This is NBC, the national broadcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett and Myers. First major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to auto detail. An organized gang of thieves has been stripping cars in your city. None of the stolen merchandise has turned up. There's no lead to the identity of the members of the gang. Your job? Stop them. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. No wonder. More and more smokers are learning this fact for themselves. Chesterfield. Low in nicotine, highest in quality. A published fact, proved by chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Regular or king size, Chesterfield is best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, June 13th. It was overcast in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of auto theft detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Nelson. My name's Friday. I was on my way into the office, and it was 7:52 a.m. when I got to room 45. Auto theft.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, Bob. You seen Frank?
No, he hasn't come in yet.
Oh, all right.
Hey, Joe?
Yeah.
When Art gets in, tell him I'm down R&I, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Bob, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. What happened to you?
Well, if it's all the same to you, I'd rather not talk about it.
That bad, huh?
You seen Joe?
Yeah, he's over his locker.
Thanks. Morning, Joe.
What happened to you?
Joe, I'd rather not discuss it.
Well, what happened? All those scratches on your face there?
Please, Joe.
Well, I was just asking.
Look pretty bad, huh? Joe?
Yeah.
I look pretty bad, huh?
I thought you didn't want to talk about it, you said.
If word about this gets out, Joe, I ain't ever going to live it down.
Is that right?
I've been had, Joe. Cop for 12 years, I've been had.
Well, what's it all about?
You won't spread this around, will you?
Look, I just asked you what happened. Now, if you don't want to tell me, I'll go along with you. You don't have to say a word. Come on, let's get on the reports. What do you say? You better get in touch with Bowles when he comes in and try to check some of these out, huh?
You're not even interested, huh?
All right. You want to tell me about it?
Well, if you really want to hear.
Go ahead.
Well, last night I took Faye down to the store. She had a little shopping to do. Small stuff, you know. Pot holders, dish towels, things like that.
Yeah.
I got a parking place right in front of the store, so I waited in the car for it.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there listening to the radio when this fellow walked up to the car. He leaned in the window and asked me if I had a minute. I told him I did and asked him what he wanted.
Did you know the guy?
Never saw him before. Didn't know him from Adam.
Uh-huh.
Right off, I could see the guy had trouble.
How do you mean?
Well, he looked real bad, like he'd been on a drunk for at least a week. His clothes were all rumpled up, looked like he slept in them for a week. You know how I mean.
Yeah. What did this guy want to talk to you about?
When I saw him, I figured he was going to put the bite on me, so I braced myself, you know.
You braced yourself, huh?
Yeah, you know. I'm a real sucker for hard luck stories. Faye's always telling me I should learn to stay away from those guys. She was just saying the other night that
what does this guy want?
Huh?
Well, what do you want, this fellow that talked to you?
Oh, well, he gave me this story about how he'd been on a bat and how he was broke and he needed some money to clean up before he went home.
Mm-hmm.
But he makes it real plain that he does not want a handout. Nothing for nothing.
What do you suppose he meant by that?
That's when he showed me the package.
The package, huh?
Yeah.
What package?
Well, the one he was carrying. Didn't I tell you that?
No, you didn't yet.
Well, you see, before I couldn't see it. Then he showed it to me. It's all done up in tissue paper, ribbons and all. Paper was kind of dirty, like he'd been carrying it for a long time. Ribbon was a little tired, but it was there.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked me if I wanted to buy it.
That was this package.
Well, what was in it? He asked me if I wanted to buy that.
Well, what was in it?
He took off the paper and he opened the thing up. And, Joe, inside is a brand new razor. Brand new. Worth $26 in town.
What kind of a razor?
Well, he said he'd let me have it for $20.
No, what kind of a razor? Just a razor, the kind you shave with?
Yeah, an electric razor.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me it was electric.
Didn't I say that, Joe?
No, and you said he let you have it for $20 just because he needed the money. Huh?
Yeah. Well, happened that I didn't have $20, you know me, so I told him I couldn't make a deal.
Then he left, huh?
No, Joe. Now, look, you wanted to hear it. Will you let me finish?
Well, it takes you a little time. I have to keep drawing you out here.
I'm sorry, Joe. I want you to get all the facts.
Mm-hmm.
We're officers together. We talked back and forth for a little bit. Guy finally said that I looked like I had an honest face.
That's a new approach, isn't it?
Joe.
Well.
So finally he says you'll let me have the razor for $15. So I bought it.
That's how you cut your face up, huh, with that new electric razor?
Well, in a way. You see, I had to buy some blades last night, and since I had the new electric, I didn't do it.
Well, you don't need blades for an electric.
No, it wasn't for the electric, Joe. It was for the old one that I had at
home.
home.
But you had the electric now.
Sure, and once I had that in my hand, I didn't want any blades. Only thing I had in the house was a blade that was a week old. So I got up this morning, plugged in my brand new electric. What do you figure happened?
Well, I'm going to take a real blind guess. It didn't run.
How'd you know?
Well, the same thing happened to Murphy over in robbery last month. There was a big laugh around here. You were one of the guys who laughed the most, don't you remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember now. It's miserable.
Murphy know about this yet?
No. I ain't about to tell him either.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, Smith?
Yeah, Skipper.
See you guys?
Right.
Close the door. Sit down.
Thank you.
What happened to you, Smith?
It's a long story, Skipper.
Well, you can tell me later. Why don't you guys take a look at this?
What do you got there?
Just saw Chief Brown on the way in. He's getting pressure from the corner pocket. They want this thing cleared up.
What is it, Joe?
Last few weeks, car stripping's taken a big jump. Not the usual line of stuff. Not just happening in certain neighborhoods. We got reports there from the Valley, Hollywood, Wilshire, all of the divisions. Same thing's happening all over town.
Uh-huh.
Talk to the boys in the sheriff's office. They're getting it. Same in Burbank, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica. Doesn't seem to be any place they aren't getting to.
How about the stolen stuff, Skipper? Any of it show up yet?
Not that we can find. All the usual outlets have been checked. None of the loot can be bought.
Any special kind of things being taken?
Let him see those reports, Jim.
Yeah, here.
Thanks.
Take a look. We're not messing with kids in this thing.
The way the victims tell us, this gang can break into a locked car and lift the radio in under 10 minutes. They can pull all four wheels off a car in under 6 minutes. Insurance companies are screaming. They already got into the police commission. Chief Brown told me this morning he didn't care how we did it, but he wanted it stopped.
Well, where do we start?
Well, up to now, the investigation's been handled pretty much by the divisions. From here in, it's in your laps. Use as many men as you need. Just bring the thieves in. You're not working on anything now, are you?
No, we're not. We're just winding up that Gibson thing. Couple of reports to finish. We should be through by noon.
We'll turn the reports over to somebody else. I want you to start on this thing right away.
Okay.
Right, Skipper.
Anything you need, let me know.
Right. Check you later.
Right. Smith?
Yes, sir?
How'd you get all those cuts in your face there? Shaving?
Well, in a way, yeah.
Yeah, same thing used to happen to me. Why don't you get yourself an electric razor?
8:11 a.m. Frank and I asked one of the other men in the detail to take care of the reports on the case that we'd finished, and then we started through the statements we'd gotten from Captain Nelson. From them, we got a pretty good idea of how the car-stripping ring was operating. There seemed to be a definite plan for the thefts. Most of the stolen articles were in the luxury class. Only radios were taken from Cadillacs and Lincolns. Heaters were stolen from Chryslers. Special hubcaps from foreign cars were listed among the stolen property. We had the stats office make a run on the M.O. that we could piece together, but their information led us nowhere. In none of the reports was there a possible description of the thief. The times the cars were stripped and the locations where the burglaries occurred made it apparent that it was a large-scale operation. For the next 2 days, we talked to the victims. We double-checked the time of the thefts and the movement of the victims immediately preceding the car stripping. We asked about people loitering in the vicinity of the parked cars. None of the drivers who'd been victimized could supply us with any more evidence than they'd given us in their statements. Friday, June 16th, we checked the list of recent parolees from state penitentiaries and work farms looking for ex-convicts who'd been involved in cases of car stripping. The list of names we came up with were checked out, but they led us nowhere. In the meantime, the pressure from the citizens groups in the city had gotten worse. At the end of the first week we'd been working on the case, the value of stolen articles reached about $500 a day. Additional officers were assigned to patrol the streets. Radio cars doubled the number of field interrogations they normally made, and although several arrests were made, the possibles picked up apparently had no part in the activities of the organized ring. On Saturday, June 24th, we got a call from an ex-convict. He asked us to come out to his garage and talk to him.
Come on back here, fellas. We can talk while I finish up.
All right.
Hey, quite a place you got here, Al.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky. Got just about all I can handle now. The way business is going, I'm going to have to take on some more help.
How many men you got working for you now, Al?
2 full-time. Saturdays, I got a couple of kids who come in and help out with the wash jobs. Now, we can talk right here. Pull up a couple of those chairs.
All right.
There's a rag there on that bench if you want to wipe them off. They get a little dirty standing around.
That's okay, Al. What do you want to see us about?
Well, first off, I want to tell you guys that I appreciate the way you treated me when I fell. I'll never forget it. Real nice.
Don't worry about it, Al.
I read in the papers where you're getting a lot of heat on the stripping going around.
Yeah, that's right.
I just wondered how you're doing on it.
Well, it's going pretty slow. Why, do you know anything?
I got a couple of rumbles. You know, it's hard not to hear them. I heard that none of the stuff's been shoved, that right?
We haven't seen any of it.
Well, the way I get it, you aren't about to. Hey, hand me that socket wrench, will you?
This one?
Yeah,
Here you go.
Thanks. Fella came in here a couple days ago. I knew him from before. He said he wanted to do business. He asked me if I was interested in some good buys of used radios. I told him I might be if they were good. He said these were the best, all GMs. Then he gave me the price. When I heard that, I knew something was off.
What was he asking?
I told him he could deliver 6 Cadillac radios for $28.50 apiece. I asked him where he got them.
What did he say to that?
He told me it wasn't any of my business. Said where he got them didn't make the radios play any different.
What makes you figure he might be in on the operation we're after?
Well, I told him that if he could make deliveries at that price, I'd want a lot more than a half a dozen.
Yeah?
Well, he said he couldn't supply them. Said that he only could spring 6. I asked him if he was working alone. He told me no. I figured I ought to give you guys a call. Might be something for you.
You said you know him, huh?
Yeah, from before. Say, you guys like a cold beer?
No, Al.
No, thanks, sir.
Well, you mind if I have one? It's kind of hot.
No, go ahead.
Thanks. Day gets a little hot, you really notice it. Are you sure you guys don't want a beer?
No. No, thanks.
Never could drink it out of a can. Seems to taste better in a glass. Oh, that's good.
Who was the guy, Al?
Oh, it's Manny Phillips.
You know where you get in touch with him?
Haven't got the slightest idea.
Has he ever fallen?
Yeah, I did time at Cupid, GTA.
Is he on parole?
I don't know. I think he made it free like I told you. I didn't know him real well. He used to hang around, never had much to do with him.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen him since I got out. I've been steering clear of the old bunch. Makes it easier if you don't pal around with them. Business I got's going good. Got no trouble with anybody, and I want it to go on like this.
Mm-hmm.
Never could figure it. Guy falls out, and right away he's back with the same old bunch. How you going to stay clean like that? Well, you aren't. Somewhere along the line, you got to make a mistake. You're right back where you started.
How long did it take you to learn it?
I spent 4.5 years at the joint.
Well, some of them fall harder than that, Al.
Yeah?
And they still don't learn. 11:20 a.m. We called the office, and Sergeants Bob Beck and Officer Art Molnar came out to the garage to stake out in case the suspect came back. Frank and I took Al Woodson down to the city hall and checked the name Manny Phillips through R&I. From the packages that were pulled, we were able to get an identification of the man who'd offered the radios for sale. We checked the information contained in the package. Phillips, whose real name was Manuel Richard Phillips, had an arrest record dating back 12 years. He'd spent 1 year at Fred C. Nellis School for Boys for car stripping when he was 14. From the time of his release, he'd been arrested on the average of once every 2 weeks. His age at the time of his latest release from San Quentin was given as 26. Out of that time, he'd spent a total of 8 years in state penal institutions. From his package, we obtained his last recorded address. We checked it out and found that he'd moved 3 months before. We checked his forwarding address. He'd moved. Finally, after talking to the managers of 9 more rooming houses and apartments, we came up with his present residence. The landlady told us that Phillips apparently didn't work for a living, but that he always had the money for his rent. She described him as quiet and said that he usually spent a good part of the daylight hours in his room. She was unable to tell us anything about his friends or any business associates that he might have. A stakeout was set up on the place immediately. Because of the apparent size of the operation, it was decided not to attempt to take the suspect into custody at this time. Instead, Captain Nelson agreed that we should keep Phillips under surveillance and try to learn more about the car-stripping gang. For the next week, we followed Phillips. 24 hours a day, there were at least 2 officers tracing his movements. On 3 nights, he was watched while he stripped cars of expensive accessories. The area was put under a Code 5, so there would be no possibility of the suspect learning he was under observation. 11 days after the surveillance began, Phillips was observed to visit a large marine supply yard down in San Pedro. The next night, July 6th, he drove up to the place at 11:37 p.m. He parked his car in front of the gate and dropped the large bundle over the fence. Immediately afterwards, he returned to his room. The following morning at 8:06 a.m., we met with Sergeant Beck in Captain Nelson's office.
What did you find out about the ownership of the supply yard?
The license was issued to a Harry Swenson.
Well, how about him?
We checked the name through the I Bureau. Nothing on him there.
Beck, you and Molnar come up with anything?
Not that you haven't got. We staked out on the yard every night since we found it. Hasn't been a night that passes some car hasn't made a delivery of some kind. Got the license numbers of all the cars. They've all been checked out. We know who they are and where to find them.
We've had a tail on Swenson every minute. He must have eyes in the back of his head. As soon as one of our men falls in step, he knows if the way he's acted, there isn't a thing we can prove.
What's the DA's office say about it?
We had lunch with Alexander yesterday, Skipper. Laid out the evidence we had.
Yeah?
Told us if we tried to take Swenson to court with what we've got, they'd laugh us out of town.
Well, where does that put you?
Well, really not much further than we were. We know who's behind the ring. We know where they're operating from. The big thing now is to find the plant. Unless we can produce the stolen merchandise in Swenson's possession, we haven't got a case that'll stand up.
And no leaks about the plant?
No, not that we can find. Everybody that's been near Swenson's place has been tailed. Twice a week there's a truck that leaves the yard. There's no way of telling what's in it, and the times we followed it, we've lost it.
Well, how about a bug? Can you get one into Swenson's office?
Well, I don't know how. There's no way of getting him out of there long enough to install one. The night watchman's always on the premises. We're not even sure he's not in on it, too.
So where do you stand on it?
Well, your guess is as good as ours. Alexander says that without finding the plant, we can't take him to court. Now, we've used every trick in the book to get him to lead us to it, and not one of them's worked.
They haven't left the thing open. They're playing it real smart.
How many men involved in the operation?
Well, we're not sure, but as near as we can figure, 12. That's not counting Swenson or that night watchman.
You've been in the business long enough to know it, then.
What's that?
When there's that many men working, there's got to be a leak someplace.
Yeah.
Find it.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. At cigarette dealers, in vending machines, at supermarkets and stores coast to coast.
Chesterfields, please.
Smokers by the thousands. Yes, smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you
1. Proof of low nicotine, highest quality. A matter of record.
2. The only cigarette ever to give you this proven record with smokers. Again and again, over a full year and 1/2, a group of Chesterfield smokers have been given thorough medical examinations. The doctor's reports are again a matter of record.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
A responsible independent research laboratory supervises this continuing program. Chesterfield. Best for me, best for you.
For the next week, a close surveillance was kept on Swenson's Marine Supply Yard, but there were no breaks. Kickbacks from George Bratton up at CII in Sacramento and from Washington, D.C. didn't disclose any previous criminal record on the suspect. During that week, on Tuesday, July 11th, and on Thursday, July 13th, a large stake truck left the yard. The back of the truck was covered with a piece of canvas so that we were unable to see what was in it, but we were reasonably sure that it contained stolen merchandise. In scouting the neighborhood for a possible place to establish a more workable stakeout, we came across an empty office on the second floor of the building directly across the street from Swenson's place of business. Officers equipped with binoculars maintained a constant watch on the activities in the yard. After another week, the events that had been seen were reported to Assistant District Attorney Adolph Alexander, and he stated that if we could get pictures of the operation, we might be able to make a case that would stand up in court. Monday, July 17th, we met with Sergeant Putoff in the crime lab.
How far are you going to have to be from the subject, Joe?
Well, second floor across the street.
Are you going to be able to take all the pictures during the day?
Don't think so, Putoff. Most of the activity runs after 9 at night.
Mm-hmm. Well, best bet probably infrared, then. We can shoot it with a 4x5.
How about light?
Oh, is there any sort of telephone pole, traffic signal in front of the place?
Yeah, I think so. The way I remember it, there's a phone pole about 10 feet to the left of the gate as you face the yard.
Well, we can tie the lights to that, then.
Well, any chance they could be spotted?
Outside. You can put them up pretty high. Irregular lamp reflectors with heavy infrared filters. If you know they're there and look up, you're going to be able to spot them.
Any chance of taking movies?
Yeah, we can swing that. Life Magazine's been experimenting with a new fast film. Results I've seen with it are pretty amazing. All you need is one street lamp. We can use that.
Well, if you have to string the infrared lights, wouldn't it be better to shoot the movies on that kind of film?
Well, you'd get something. Film's pretty slow, though. It'd be better to use the stuff Life's come up with.
All right, how long will it take you to set it up?
Well, how careful do we have to be?
Well, these guys are pretty cagey. If they get any idea at all, we're dead.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can have a couple of men go out in the morning. We can outfit them as linemen. They should be able to have the rig ready for you by tomorrow night.
We can start shooting pictures then, huh?
Should be able to, yeah.
All right. Is Jay Allen around, do you know?
Well, I think he's over the court this morning, Joe.
Well, then maybe you can help us out there, too.
What's that?
We're trying to figure some way to tail a truck. We've been trying to find the plant these guys are using for a couple of weeks now, and we just can't get near them. We wondered if Jay might have any ideas on that.
Probably use fluorescent paint. That ought to do it.
What's the gimmick there?
They tie a can of transparent fluorescent lacquer to the back of the truck, punch a hole in the can, and all you got to do is follow the drops.
You punch a hole in the can, won't all the stuff run out?
Well, there's a couple of brands on the market. They've got enough viscosity so the paint will stay in the can. Regulate the frequency of the drops by the size of the hole.
Can you see it?
Not without ultraviolet lamp. Tie one of those to the hood of your car and you got it made.
You got the equipment here to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, would you have Jay give us a call when he comes in?
Right. He'll know more about it than I do. Be able to give you all the dope.
Okay.
I'll get right on the other for you.
Thanks a lot.
Say, how long you been after this bunch?
Well, let's see. We got the assignment on June 13th. That'd make it over a month now.
A lot of time.
Well, maybe now we'll have something to show for it. The following morning, Tuesday, July 18th, 2 men from the crime lab installed 3 1,000-watt lamps in front of the Marine Supply Yard. The reflectors were equipped with heavy infrared filters. Test exposures from our position across the street indicated that whatever pictures we got would be recognizable enough as to be admitted in a court of law. The new fast film was obtained, and 16-millimeter cameras were installed in the window of the office across the street from Swenson's. We talked with Sergeant Jay Allen in the crime lab, and he went to work on the use of the fluorescent paint. After experimenting, he was able to come up with the correct size hole in the bottom of the can so that a single drop of the lacquer would fall from the can every 10 seconds. A portable ultraviolet lamp was obtained and was ready for immediate installation on our car. For the next 3 nights, we sat in our vantage point and we photographed all activity on the suspect's premises. The pictures were shown to Adolph Alexander in the district attorney's office, and he told us that they would play a large part in the prosecution of the case. However, he said that if we could come up with the hiding place of the stolen loot, a conviction would be assured. Tuesday morning, July 25th, 3:15 a.m., Frank and I took the can of fluorescent paint and climbed the fence into the supply yard. Back here.
Right. Lousy thing, I didn't see
All right, you better hold it a minute.
Who's there?
The watchman.
Yeah. get back in the shadows.
Yeah, come on, easy.
Come on out, I know you're there. Come on now. Who is it?
Well, that was close.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. The truck should be back in the shed.
Right.
Right, here we are.
There's a can. You want to hang it? I'll keep an eye out.
Right. Get this thing on here. Who thought up this handle? This don't work at all. Wait a minute.
You bend it down?
Yeah. Give me your handkerchief.
Wait a minute.
There's a sharp edge on this wire.
Okay, here it is.
All right, wait a minute. We still clear there?
Yeah.
How about that watchman?
He went back.
Right there we are.
How about the stopper in the can?
I got it in place. The first bump should knock it out.
I hope so.
It's got to work. All right, now let's try to get out of here. See if you can kick something else, will you, on the way? Tuesday night at 11:35 p.m., the stake truck pulled out of Swenson's Marine Supply Yard. Sergeant Bob Beck, Frank, and I were parked in an alley just down the street. We let the truck get a good 20-minute start on us, and then the ultraviolet lamp was attached to the hood of our car. Frank started the motor, and we pulled out into the street.
Spot anything yet?
No.
Maybe the lacquer dried up around the cork, held it in place.
That's a happy thought.
Well, here's the corner. Which way?
Well, wait a minute. Let's take a chance straight ahead, huh?
All right.
Well, there's nothing up this way. You better double back.
Okay.
Let's try it to the left this time.
How about it? See anything yet?
Go on up a little more, will you? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Look at that stuff. It's really lit up.
For the next 35 minutes, we followed the trail left by the fluorescent paint. From time to time, we'd lose the trail, but we'd always pick it up again. The truck followed the main highway from San Pedro to Santa Monica and then turned left up Santa Monica Canyon. The trail wound around toward Sunset Boulevard and turned to the left. About 1 mile from the beach, the drops indicated that the truck had left the main street and turned onto a private dirt road. Half a mile along the road, the trail stopped in front of a large wooden building in the middle of a field. We turned off the car lights and went up to the place. The blinds on the windows were drawn, but there were lights on in a front room. Sergeant Beck covered the rear of the building, and Frank and I went up to the front door. All right? Yeah.
What are you doing in here?
Police officers, you're under arrest.
For what?
Is there anybody else here in the building?
What are you arresting me for?
You want to check with Beck, Frank?
Right. What are you doing coming in here like this? You got no right coming around kicking doors
All right,
in.
save it, Swenson.
How do you know my name?
We've been watching you for a month now. Is there anybody else in this house?
No.
Do you own this place?
I'm not answering anything till I see a lawyer.
All right, you call it any way you want. We can find out.
Got no right in here. I'm going to see my lawyer.
You do that, Swenson.
What's the charge?
Burglary.
You think you can make it stick?
We're going to try, mister.
Where's your evidence? You got to have evidence.
We got it.
There's nobody else here, Joe. Back room's full of stuff. Radios, heaters, tires, all here.
So what? You can't put me away for that.
All right, let's go, Swenson.
Now, just a minute. Will you listen to me a minute?
All right.
You got this all wrong. You're making a big mistake here. I intend to pay for every bit of that stuff back there. I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah, that's right. You will.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 12th, trial was held in Department 97, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we'd like to express our appreciation to all of you who've made our Dragnet theme song so popular. Whenever or wherever you hear it, we hope it'll remind you to try our Chesterfields. To join the thousands who are changing to Chesterfields and getting the one cigarette that's low in nicotine, highest in quality. Chesterfield. Best for me, best for you.
All other members of the gang were taken into custody and were brought to trial. Harry Ralph Swenson, along with his accomplices, was tried and convicted of 14 counts of burglary in the second degree and received sentence as prescribed by law. Burglary in the second degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1, nor more than 15 years.
If you had only one book, the Bible, do you know that you would have within its covers the finest examples of literature, both in prose and poetry? You'd have stories which have never been equaled, adventure, love, history, and prophecy. So read your Bible every day during National Bible Week.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Perrin, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Have you tried new cork tip Fatima? It's the smooth smoke, with Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Fatima is made and guaranteed by Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company. Try Fatima today. Hear Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers, first major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Bunko Fugitive Detail. An extortion ring is operating in your city. The victims are wealthy businessmen. The thieves claim they're policemen. Your job? Check them out. Friends, this month's Chesterfield poster features the world's greatest golfer, Ben Hogan. Now, here's what he has to say about Chesterfields.
I'm a Chesterfield smoker, and have been for 7 years. The reason's simple. Chesterfield is the best for me. They're milder, and they taste great. Try them yourself.
Take Ben Hogan's advice. Try Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you proof of low nicotine, highest quality, and a proven record with smokers. Chesterfield, regular or king size, best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 10th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Bunko Fugitive Detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. I spent the morning in court, and it was 11:45 a.m. when I got back to room 38, Bunko Division.
Well, I'm telling you, you better do something about it. Getting terrible when a citizen has a thing like this happen to him.
All right, Mr. Mather. If you'll take it easy, tell me what happened.
I got a lot of friends in this town. I happen to know one of the councilmen real well. If you don't clean this thing up, you're going to be walking a beat out in the plum thicket.
Just a minute, Mr. Mather. Here's my partner. Now, if you'll tell us what happened, maybe we can help you out.
Now, you don't need no partner. Just go out and arrest them fellas. Go get them.
What's the matter here? This is Mr. Keith Mather, Joe. It's my partner, Sergeant Friday.
How are you, sir?
Now, don't you come around here trying to smooth things over. I'm not going to be happy until them hoodlums are in jail where they belong. I'm telling you the same as I told this fella.
You do something about this, I'm going to take it to the mayor.
What's the matter here, Frank? I don't know. Been trying to find out.
Well, what you going to do about it?
How about a cigarette, huh?
Thanks.
Here, I have a match. There you are.
How about it?
Sir?
Well, how about it? What you going to do?
Well, sir, if you'd start right at the beginning and tell us what this is all about, maybe we can give you a hand.
Well, there isn't a shoe shine in the world that's worth $5. I don't care what kind of wax they use, not for $5, no, sir.
Shoe shine?
Yes. They call it imported wax. Where they charge for it must be brought in from Timbuktu. Ridiculous.
I'll get the report. Right.
Take a match and light it, and they burn the edges of your shoe soles. Don't do nothing but smoke up your shoes, that's all. Just smoke up your shoes. A $5 hot foot.
You want to give us your full name, sir?
Keith Jefferson Mather. Now, right there on the street that threatened me.
Where'd this happen, sir?
Shoe shine stand, the corner of Main and Colon. Little place with pin-up pictures all over the walls. Never seen so many pin-ups.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if they had a card showing the prices of the shines?
Well, I didn't see one. Only them pictures, hard to tell.
Well, if you just tell us in your own words exactly what happened, will you please?
I was on my way to work. Had a very busy day, a lot of important appointments. I just parked my car and I was walking along and went by this place. A fella standing there asked me if I wanted to shine. Just so happened I did, so I climbed up in the chair. Well, I was sitting there reading the paper, and the man asked me if I wanted imported wax. I wasn't paying a lot of attention. I guess I said yes. Next thing I know, I think he's trying to give me a hot foot. I looked down. He's got this big kitchen match out. He's burning the edges of my soles. Smoke coming up. I told him to stop it. I got down from the chair. I was plenty sore. You can just bet I was sore. Plenty.
Yes, sir, we can understand.
Well, I handed him $50. Figured that'd take care of the tip, too. Wasn't a very good shine. Come right down to it, a $50 was too much. All that smoke. Next thing I know, he said the shine was $5. $5! Almost climbed right down top of the place. Couldn't believe my ears. Can you imagine $5 for shine?
That's when the men got out of the car, did they?
That's right. Them three fellas got right out. Say, how'd you know about that?
Well, sir, this isn't a new operation.
You mean tell me this happened before?
Yes, sir. We get a couple of dozen complaints a week.
We'll finish up this report, and then if you'll point out the place, we'll have a look.
Then you can just start writing. I told you I had a lot of important appointments. I can't spend all day here.
Can I see someone here, please?
Yes, sir. You want to go ahead with this, Frank? I'll see what he wants.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Could I help you?
I want to give myself up.
Sir?
This is Bunko Fugitive, isn't it? That's what it says on the door.
Yes, sir. That's right.
I want to give myself up. I'm tired of running. I haven't got any place to go.
Would you like to tell me what this is all about?
I gave him every nickel I had. I haven't even got enough money to go home. All I want's enough to eat on and get back home. I gave him everything.
I don't believe I understand you, sir.
I gave him all the money I had. He said it'd be all right. Now I'm broke, and I want to borrow enough to get home.
Well, who are you talking about? Who'd you give the money to?
Policeman.
The man who'd walked into the office identified himself as Martin Dietrich. From the story he gave us, it appeared that he'd been the victim of a shakedown by a person or persons representing themselves as police officers. We turned the shoeshine parlor complaint over to one of the other officers for investigation, and then we took Dietrich across the street to the Federal Cafe. We sat down in a booth and ordered coffee while the victim had breakfast. He acted as if he hadn't eaten in several days. Frank and I waited until he finished, and then we started to question him.
If you'll just tell us what happened, Dietrich.
Sure. I'm from Chicago. I work for a wholesale drug company back there, and I had to come out here on business. I got in last Saturday.
That'd be August 7th, would it?
Yeah, the 7th. I got in at 8:45 on the Super Chief. Well, I didn't have any business to do until yesterday, so I thought I'd look the town over, get settled, you know?
Yes, sir.
I didn't even have a hotel reservation, so after I got off the train, I was waiting for my baggage to be checked through, and I went over to the coffee shop for some coffee. Sat down, started to read the paper, and must have been there for about 15, 20 minutes when this guy came in and sat down next to me.
Go ahead.
He just sat there for a couple of minutes. I didn't pay any attention to him. Busy reading the paper, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Then he asked me for a match. I gave him one, told him to keep the pack. I remember telling him that. Next thing I know, we're in a big conversation. Turns out he's from Chicago, too.
Did he tell you his name?
Said it was Gabriel Bush. Told me he was in the wholesale liquor business. Said he was out here on a selling trip, checking up on the branch office. Well, I went right along with him. Seemed like such a nice fellow. Well-dressed, cultured. Yeah, even knowing it, you sure wouldn't figure him for what he was.
What was that, sir?
A narcotic addict.
Are you sure about that?
Well, I should be. It cost me over $3,000 to find out.
You want to go on, sir?
We got a cab and went out to a big hotel on Wilshire. He had reservations there. He signed the card, and we went up the room. The way he acted, you'd never know anything was wrong, never even suspected.
I see.
Well, we no sooner got in the room than Gabe started to unpack his suitcase.
Gabe?
Yeah, Gabriel Bush.
Oh, yeah.
He told me to call him Gabe. Said he was named after a great uncle or something. Didn't care much for the name.
I see. Go ahead, please.
Well, he unpacked his bag, and I guess I should have noticed something then, the way he acted.
How do you mean?
When he took the stuff out of his bag, he acted like he didn't want me to see what he was doing. But he did it in a funny way, so I couldn't miss noticing it. You know what I mean?
I think I do, yeah.
Well, he went into the bathroom, stayed in there a couple of minutes, and then when he came out, he had his sleeve rolled up, had a piece of cotton on his arm, like when they give you a transfusion. You know, here?
Yeah.
He had this little leather case, and when he went to put it away, he dropped it. Spilled the stuff in it all over the floor. I should have gotten out right then, right there. If I'd have had any brains, I would have gotten out.
What was in the case, do you know?
All the stuff for taking narcotics, hypodermic needle, all that stuff.
Well, what did he say when he dropped this?
He just tried to laugh it off. And then he told me that he was a diabetic, said that he had to take insulin shots. And about that time, the other two guys came in.
What did these two men want?
Said Gabe was a narcotic addict. Said they'd been after him for a long time and that they'd gotten word from the Chicago police that he was coming out here.
Yeah?
He told me that they'd been following us since we got off the train. Been following us all the time.
What'd they do then?
Took us downstairs and put us in a car. So they were going to take us to jail. Tried to talk to him, tell him I didn't have any part in what Gabe was doing. I didn't even know about the narcotics. One of them said they knew that.
That you weren't involved in it?
Yeah. Then the other one opened up the glove compartment of the car and took out a microphone, called in here to police headquarters. Gave them Gabe's name and mine. Said they had us in custody and were bringing us in. And I kept asking the one guy in the back with me to let me go, let me get out of the car.
What'd he say?
Oh, he told me that they'd like to, but it was too late. That they'd already called in my name, said they couldn't do anything about it now. I told him how it would ruin me if the story got out. How could I explain it to my bosses? That's when they told me there was a way.
Yeah.
The one fellow said that if I could afford to take care of all the policemen who knew that I'd been picked up, maybe they could fix it. The other one, the one in the front seat, said that wasn't a good idea, that they should book me. Well, they got in a discussion about it. The one guy wanted to let me go. The other one said not to. Finally, the one with me, the one in the back seat, won out. I gave him all the money I had, $3,350.
How much?
$3,350.
I see.
Then they pulled the car over to the curb and told me to get out.
The badge these two men showed you, did it look like this one?
I think so. I was so worried I didn't get a real close look at it. I think it was the same.
I see. Either one of them tell you their names?
Not the one in the front seat. The one who wanted to let me go said his name was Lang. He said he was a sergeant.
He tell you where he worked?
Just narcotics, that's all he said.
You gave him this money all in cash, did you?
Yeah, all of it. Say, do you know him? You know these two officers?
No, sir, we don't.
He said they were policemen. The badges, the police car, even the radio.
Did you hear anyone talk back to him on that radio?
I don't remember. I was so upset about what was happening, I didn't pay any attention to what was going on. All I could think about was that I was going to jail, and for something I didn't know anything about. No, I don't remember.
What kind of a car was it?
The Chevrolet.
What color?
Sort of a light gray.
Will you show us the hotel where all this happened?
Sure, but I don't understand all this. The other two policemen said that if I gave them the money, everything would be all right. They said they could fix it up. Now, I don't want any trouble. All I want is enough money to get home. They said they'd fix the whole thing up. They told me there wouldn't be any trouble. No trouble.
Yes, sir.
You think they're really cops?
I don't know, but they're wrong about one thing.
What's that?
There's going to be trouble. 12:52 p.m. We took the victim, Martin Dietrich, back to the city hall. We got in touch with Lieutenant Iannone, Internal Affairs Division. We filled him in on what had happened. He started an immediate check of all police officers in the city and the county. Working from the description we'd gotten from the victim, we notified the narcotics detail. They went to work on it. A local and an APB were gotten out on the suspects. We checked the name Gabriel Bush through R&I, but when the mug shots from the packages that we came up with were shown to Dietrich, he was unable to give us an identification. 3:15 p.m. We drove the victim out to the hotel where he told us the shakedown had occurred. In the company of the manager, we went upstairs.
Come right in. This is the room.
How about it, Dietrich?
Yeah, this is where he brought me.
Mr. Alden, do you know anything about the man who took this room?
You mean Mr. Bush?
Yes, sir.
No, I don't. I do remember when he came in, registered with this gentleman here. Had a reservation. I had the boy bring him up to the room.
Yes, sir.
Well, all the time Mr. Bush was signing the card, he was telling Mr. Dietrich here that there was a convention in town, how all the hotels were full up. Well, that's not right. We haven't had a really big convention in a couple of months. Why, right here in this place, we've got several rooms we could have let Mr. Dietrich have. Not that we're not doing a good business, you understand, not at all.
Yes, sir.
But we do have a few very nice rooms.
Have you ever seen this Mr. Bush before?
No, I don't think I ever have.
All right, sir. If we could take a look at the registration card, and then we'd like to talk to the cashier.
Sure.
Do you know if their bill was paid when they checked out?
I imagine so. I don't collect the money. Cashier does that. We can ask her.
All right, sir.
You think you might get a clue from her?
Well, we'd like to talk to her if we could.
She won't be able to tell you anything that I haven't filled you in on already.
Sir?
Well, it follows. I'm the manager here. Anything goes on, I'm going to know about it. Not only that, but I've worked a lot with our security officer.
How's that, sir?
House detective.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, I help him out all the time. People are always trying to get away with hotel property, but we stop them.
Come right down to it, I could almost be a policeman myself. All I need is a badge and a gun.
Afraid you're a little wrong there, mister.
Just a badge and a gun.
They don't make you a cop. 4:38 p.m. We talked to the cashier at the hotel. She told us that the bill for the room had been paid by Gabriel Bush at 2:15 the afternoon of the shakedown, 3 hours after Martin Dietrich had turned over all his money to the thieves. She told us that the bill had been paid with cash and that she could give us no further information on the man. We obtained the registration card the suspect had signed when he checked into the hotel. In the usual processing of the card by hotel employees, it had been handled so much that lifting fingerprints from it was impossible. The card was turned over to Don Myers in handwriting to be checked. 5:20 p.m. The victim started to look through the photographs of police officers. Lieutenant Iannone's preliminary investigation had failed to turn up any police officers who matched the description of the shakedown men. A check with the officers from narcotics detail netted us nothing. They were still checking their sources of information to help us in coming up with a lead. 11:16 p.m. We took the victim out for dinner, and then we came back to the city hall and continued to go through the pictures. At 1:26 a.m., he finished the last book without finding the men who'd claimed that they were police officers. We checked out of the office, and Dietrich spent the night at Frank's house. The following morning, Wednesday, August 11th, 8:04 a.m., Frank and I met with Captain Didion in his office.
Well, where are you on it?
Not too far, Skipper.
What have you got?
Well, we checked the files. We're pretty sure that they aren't policemen.
How about narcotics? They come up with anything?
Not yet. They're still working on it.
You need any extra men?
No, not right now. We might later.
I got Johnny DeBetta standing by. You can use anybody else you need, but clean this thing up. Where do you go from here?
Well, we're getting descriptions out to all the hotels, warning them about the racket, asking them to call us if this Bush guy registers again.
Doesn't seem like he'll use the same name again.
No reason not to, Skipper. He doesn't know we're onto him.
I suppose so. I got an idea last night. Might work. At least it'd be something to start on.
All right.
Well, it figures that the only men who'll go for this dodge have got responsible positions in their hometowns. If they didn't have, they wouldn't care about being brought down here along with Bush. Is that right?
Yeah, that follows.
They got to be from out of town so the con men can get rid of them fast.
Yeah.
Now, this Dietrich, he was picked up in the Union Station, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And if you're going to pick your men up, that's the place to do it. Try to nail them while they're setting the mark.
Yeah, it might work. Be better if one of us was the mark, though.
That's what I had in mind. You got any good luggage, Joe? Expensive looking?
Well, I got a set my mother gave me last Christmas. Looks pretty good to me.
We'll try it then. Smith, you'll work with DeBetta. Keep a tail on Friday from the time he gets into Union Depot. Joe.
Yeah.
Here's a timetable.
What?
Tomorrow morning you start riding the train.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. It's taking place at your dealers, cigarette dealers coast to coast.
Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. Join them today, and you'll be smoking the only cigarette that gives you proof of low nicotine, highest quality. I want you to know that's a matter of record. And so's this. As I've been telling you, Chesterfield is the only cigarette with this proven record with smokers. No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. Good reasons why you should change to Chesterfield? You bet. Ask for Chesterfield. Regular or king size, best for you.
The following morning, Thursday, August 12th, I drove out to Pasadena. At 8:12 a.m., I caught the train on its last stop before it reached the Union Depot in Los Angeles. At 8:45 a.m., the train pulled into the station. I got off, walked up the ramp into the terminal. From there, I walked over to the coffee shop and waited for over an hour. From where I sat, I could see Frank and Sergeant John DeBetta further down the counter. At the end of the hour, no attempt had been made to approach me, and we called off the operation for the day. While I was in the coffee shop, I watched for anybody matching the description of the suspect, Bush, but if he was there, we didn't see him. The operation was staged again for the next 2 days without results. On Sunday, August 15th, I went through the same procedure. After the waitress brought my coffee, I waited. 9:02 a.m.
Mind if I sit down here?
No, go right ahead. Here, I'll move my coat.
I'll get it for you. You're not going to need an overcoat out here. Sure is hot.
Yeah, I guess so. This is my first trip. Thought I'd bring one with me anyway. California weather, you know.
Yeah, you never know. Where are you from?
Chicago.
Oh, take the chief in?
Yeah. Just thought I'd have a cup of coffee before I start out to find a hotel.
Yeah. Guess I ought to introduce myself. I'm Gabriel Bush. Friends call me Gabe.
Well, my name's Friday. Did you just get in, too?
Yeah. I work for a wholesale liquor company in Chicago.
It's a small world. Where are your offices?
On State Street. Got a little trouble with our West Coast office, so the boss sent me out to see if I can straighten it out. What are you doing here?
Oh, just kind of business and pleasure.
Mm-hmm. What line you in?
Machine tools.
Oh, how long are you going to be in town?
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm leaving Tuesday.
That doesn't give you a lot of time here. You know anybody in town?
No, sir, I don't. Not a soul.
Where'd you say you're staying?
Well, I'm not staying any place. I haven't got a place yet. Thought I'd go over to the Statler.
Oh, you're not going to get in there. Matter of fact, you're going to have a rough time getting in any place.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, there's a big convention in town. No rooms to be had. I made my reservation a couple of weeks ago. The office out here took care of it.
Oh, I didn't know it'd be that crowded.
Should I tell you what?
Yeah?
Come on over to my hotel. You can park your luggage there, and I'll get in touch with a couple of friends here and see what they can do.
Well, that's sure nice of you, but I don't want you to go to a lot of trouble. I'll find a place somewhere.
It's no trouble at all. Can't let a fellow Chicagoan stand out in the cold. I'm sure the boys can find you a place.
And you know, I sure appreciate all this.
I don't think anything about it. Who knows? Maybe you'll be able to do something for me someday.
Yeah, maybe I can. We walked out of the terminal and we got into a cab. I could see Frank and DeBetta following us. The address Bush gave the cab driver was out on Wilshire. We pulled up in front of the place. We went in. The suspect signed the registration card and we went upstairs. All the time he kept up a running conversation about how difficult it was to get a hotel room. The bellboy left our bags in the room and asked us if we wanted them opened. Bush made it apparent to both the boy and to me that he was the only one who was going to open his own suitcase. After the bellboy left the room, Bush laid his bag on the bed and snapped it open. He took out a small leather case, trying to keep me from seeing it, and at the same time making sure that I did. He went into the bathroom, and after about 2 minutes, he came out. He'd taken off his coat, and his left shirt sleeve was rolled back. He had a small piece of cotton on his arm.
I feel a lot better now.
What's the matter? Something wrong?
Oh, no, nothing at all. You see, I'm a diabetic. I have to take insulin shots every so often.
Oh, that's too bad.
I'll get this back in my suitcase, and we can start looking for a room for you.
Well, that's nice of you.
Oh,
here, let me give you a hand. I'll help you pick it up.
Oh, no, it's all right. Don't worry about it. I can get it.
Here, just a minute. I guess this spoon's part of it, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you used a spoon for insulin. I'll get it.
Wait a minute. Let me put this stuff away.
Well, I'll open the door, see who it is anyway, huh? Yeah, what do you want?
Police officers. You're under arrest.
What for?
Narcotics.
What are you doing breaking in here like this? You got no right coming in a room like this.
Knock it off, Bush. Been after you for a long time. We finally nailed you, and I don't bawl about it.
This other fella a cop, too?
Yeah, this is my partner, Roger Silby.
Now, listen, I had no part in this. I just met this guy. If you want him, okay, but don't tie me in with him, please.
Too bad, mister. Get your coat.
And where are we going?
Downtown. We got to book you.
But I had no part in this. I tell you, I just met the guy just this morning down at the depot. I just met him. I'm not mixed up in anything. If my company finds out about this, it's going to cost me my job. Now, you guys got to give me a break, please.
Should have thought of that before, mister. A little late now.
Yeah, but if my boss hears about this, he's going to kill me.
Come on, why don't you give the guy a break? He's telling the truth. I just met him. He's got no piece of the action.
That's rough. Maybe next time he'd be more careful who he bums around with. Let's go.
Oh, please, give him a break.
You guys are all alike. You cry when you get tagged.
Yeah, but this isn't right.
Let's go. We're taking you in.
Well, what's the charge?
We'll tell you in jail.
The two men had shown us badges when they came in, but they'd flashed them by so fast there was no way of taking a good look at them. They made Bush and I get our things together, and then they took us downstairs. As we walked through the lobby, I nodded to Frank and Johnny DeBetta. They followed us at a distance. The plan was that I'd get in the car with the suspects and then give them the money. After that, they'd be taken into custody. Until they'd actually taken the money, all we could prosecute them on was a charge of impersonating an officer. Once the currency was in their possession, we could prove extortion, a felony. After we left the hotel, we walked up Wilshire Boulevard, and we stopped by a gray Chevrolet.
All right, get in.
Is this a police car?
That's right. I'll take this one in front with me. Okay. All right, get in.
You're making a mistake.
We'll let the judge worry about that. I'll call in and tell him we're coming in.
Right.
This is car 12-7, car 12-7. We have two prisoners in custody. We're taking them downtown for booking. Repeat, we have two prisoners in custody. We're taking them downtown for booking. All right, just sit back, mister. You got a long ride.
What are they going to do to me?
We just booked you. After that, it's up to the court.
Yeah, but they're going to let me go, aren't they?
I don't know. They got a big drive on now about narcotics. Court's getting pretty rough. Had a guy up just last week. They caught him in a car with another fellow who was smoking marijuana. This one guy didn't even know it was tea. They really nailed him. Hey, how long did they give Jansen? You mean on that tea rap last week? Yeah, 5 years. Now, you see, they're really getting rough.
Yeah, but you know I didn't have anything to do with this. You said that yourself. You know that. Listen, isn't there some way? There's got to be a way.
I don't know. We don't like to see guys like you nailed, but the pressure's on us, too. We'd like to just let you out of the car, forget we ever saw you. We can't do it.
Why not? Why can't you?
Too many people know we picked you up.
Well, who? Who knows it?
Well, our office, for one. As soon as we spotted you and Bush at the hotel, we called them. Told them we were going to take you into custody. My partner just called in and told them we had you. People on the radio know it. Must be a couple of dozen. No, I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do. Sorry.
It's a lousy deal. It's going to ruin me. You guys know that. I'll lose my job. I'll be through.
I don't know. We'd like to help you out, but you can see there just isn't any way.
But there's got to be.
Shelby?
Yeah?
How about it? Can't we just let him out?
You tell me how we're going to get away with it. How are we going to explain when he isn't there to be booked?
Oh, look, he's a nice guy. I don't want to see him get into trouble for something he didn't do.
Neither do I, but how do you figure to square it? Well, you're bright cops. Come on, give the guy a break.
Suppose we could take care of the watch, Commander. Maybe he'd forget we called in.
Taking care of him is expensive.
Yeah. How much money you got on you?
Well, about $2,500.
It's not too much. Can you raise any more?
No, not without sending home. I can't do that.
How about it, Sylvie? $2,500 enough?
Won't go very far. A lot of people to take care of.
That's all he's got.
Ain't enough. Let's book him.
Oh, come on. We've been riding together a long time, Sylvie. This is the lousiest deal we've ever had to pull. If we take the $2,500 and explain it to the commander, it'll work. Come on, let's give the guy a chance.
If it goes wrong, it's on your neck.
All right. I'll take the beef.
Okay, shove him out. We got to take Bush in, though.
All right. Come on, give me the money.
Sure. Here you are. It's all there.
Okay. Sylvie?
Pull over. Let's let him out.
Where are we?
4th and Spring.
Would you mind dropping me off a couple of blocks up the street?
This isn't a taxi service, mister. You're coming out of this smelling like a rose. Don't press your luck.
No, just a couple of blocks up there near First.
Why, what's over there?
City Hall. You're under arrest. The 3 men were taken into custody, and then the marked money was booked as evidence. We got in touch with the victim, Martin Dietrich, and asked him to come down to the City Hall and give us an identification. He looked at the suspects and then stated positively that they were the men who'd shaken him down.
That's them.
You'll sign a complaint?
You bet I will. I want to see him get theirs. Oh, it's all a beef, little con game, that's all. So we took the mark.
Shut up, Lang. They still got to prove it.
That ain't going to be hard with the help your friend Gabe handed out to them. Imagine being so dumb you pick a cop as a mark.
Well, both of you went along with it.
Oh, you're dumb, Gabe. Face it.
All right, let's go. Come on, mister.
Don't give me no orders, cop. You got me in custody, that's enough. Now don't order me around. I'll go when I'm ready.
Come on, Lang.
Hey, you know something, cop? I think I play the part better than you do.
Now, I'm going to tell you something, mister. I want you to remember it. As a con man, you're a flop. You wouldn't know a mark if he came up and hit you right in the mouth. Besides being bad at that, you're a liar. The worst kind of liar. You go around telling people that you're a cop. You flash a tin badge and right off you're the law. You don't care what you do or who you hurt. I've been in this business a long time. I've seen a lot of 5'10s come across the desk here. Guys who take old women, cheap crumbs with a handkerchief switch in the smack game, but at least they don't try to hide behind a phony badge. We don't know how many people you pull this cheap deal on, but we're going to find out. We'll get every name there is, and then we'll make you on all of them. I live in this town. I work here, and I like it. There are 4,500 men in the city who feel the same way, all cops. Men are trying to prove that the law's here to protect people, not to cut them down. They spend every day of the year making up a good score, and you come along and tilt it. Every one of those people you hit thinks he's been taken by a cop now. A cop whose hand was reaching for money that wasn't his. You keep wearing that grin, Lang. See if you can still make it when we turn the key on you. Now, let's go. You want to take him outside, Frank? I'll be right with you.
Yeah. Come on.
That all you need me for?
Yeah, Martin. We'll be in touch with you.
Right. Too bad about all this, isn't it?
Yeah.
All those people that bunch took, they're always going to think those guys were real cops.
Yeah, that's right.
They were going to know. Of course, you can't blame them, not really. Look how they got to me. I guess there just ain't any way to tell if a guy flashes a badge, you know. How are you going to tell?
Yeah, there's one way.
How are you going to know he's a fake?
When he asks you for money.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 17th, trial was held in Department 92, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we'd like to express our appreciation to all of you who've made our Dragnet theme song so popular. Whenever or wherever you hear it, we hope it'll remind you to try our Chesterfields. To join the thousands who are changing to Chesterfields and getting the one cigarette that's low in nicotine, highest in quality. Chesterfield. Best for me, best for you.
Gerald Richard Lang, Richard Harris Silby, and Gabriel Norris Bush were tried and convicted of violation of Section 518 PC, extortion. They received sentences prescribed by law. Violation of Section 518 PC is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1 nor more than 10 years. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant France Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Perrin, Herb Ellis, Paul Richards. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork tip Fatima? It's the smooth smoke, with Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Fatima is made and guaranteed by Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company. Try Fatima today.
Hear Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune tonight on the NBC Radio Network.